Recklessness.
This is Fartman. We're on the radio. Are you Iranian?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let me tell you something. I'm always sad to see people die in a plane, but I don't think it's right that you kill our hostages.
Well, let me tell you that when we are talking about the death of 290 people, it is rather inappropriate to talk about the lives of 9, but I haven't received any...
A human life is a human life, and you know that it was an honest mistake on behalf of the U.S. government.
Well, we don't know that it was an honest mistake.
But Fartman is on the side of the United States.
Okay, well...
And I'm going to say this. Now get ready, and that is all I have to say about this issue.
If that makes you feel better.
Because it was a mistake.
If that makes
and it's not right to kill Americans and hold them hostage either, so you are not without blame also. You started it.
We're not holding anybody hostage.
You guys are too.
We're not.
You started it.
If we want to go back into history, we can go back into history of years of subordination and domination of Iranian people.
All right. So who knows history better than Fartman?
Of course you do. You know everything better than everybody else.
Because I am Fartman. And let me say something again. Because Fartman rules. I'm Fartman.
If it makes you feel better.
And I will be over in Iran if there's a problem with my gas. Bless America.
Okay.
And the home of the free.
Very good.
Like the good Lord said, he promised to his daughter, low is the way. When there's so much left, all things are God-given, and they all have been blessed. That's the way God planned it. That's the way God wants it. That's the way God planned it. That's the way God wants it to be. Let not your heart be troubled. Let morning star be cease. Learn how to help one another and live in perfect peace. If we all could be humble, like the good Lord said, he said he would exalt us all. Below is the way. That's the way God planned it. That's the way God wants it. Help me out, Howard. Robin?
Oh, man. I don't want to ruin it.
That's the way. Come on, Robin. I know you can sing, girl. Come on, sing it with me, Robin. That's the way God planned it. That's the way God wants it to be. Yes, it is. All right.
I'm afraid to ruin it, Billy.
That's the way. That's the way God planned it. That's the way God wants it to be. All right. Yeah. All right. Amen. Yeah.
Baby, good morning. It's Monday. Yeah, everybody loves Monday, right? Big weekend of watching JFK Jr.'s plane on the TV. You know, the New York Post today is like 20 pages in a row of just JFK Jr. stuff. And then after 20 pages, the only other news is a big picture of me that says that like Captain Jenks made a phony phone call, but I'm responsible. I'm the only other news. Well, I'll give you my comments on JFK Jr. when we get back. I have to take a break first. You know that, Robin.
Break comes before everything.
Right.
Break comes no matter what.
Dennis Rodman will be here today.
Oh, I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on JFK Jr.
I'm not sure he even knows anything happened to JFK Jr.
That's right. He was partying all weekend.
Right.
Probably. We'll be the first to tell him.
Okay. So I'll give you my thoughts on all of this because I spent the entire weekend next to the television, as I normally do.
Did you watch constantly?
Constantly. I was completely involved in the search.
Except that you didn't go out of your house.
No, but I was monitoring. You know that. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after these words.
Hi, I'm Damon Wayans. My brother's blooming in my footsteps in Alec Baldwin. I hope you're enjoying this because while I'm doing it, I'm staring at Scott the Engineer, one of the funniest looking white men I've ever saw. He makes Scott Perot look like Robert Redford. Man, fix yourself up. And now, from the top of the Howard Stern building, it's the guy who keeps Scott around to make him feel better about himself, Howard Stern.
I missed that. What was that?
Was he talking about Ross Perot?
I think he meant Ross.
Who was that? What?
That's Damon Wayans.
Yeah, but I didn't hear what he said.
He said he was talking about Scott the Engineer. And he said he makes Scott Perot look like something or other, but it's Ross Perot, I think. It's very confusing.
Well, if it's confusing, why were you airing it?
I don't know.
You know? You have to question our motives. So, of course, like everyone else, Saturday morning, I heard the news that John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane went down, and immediately I did feel very sad about it. I knew his wife quite well, actually, which might be a shock to you.
Well, it's not a shock to me. You told me, but...
Oh. Well, it might be a shock to everyone else. I had several very, very long conversations with her, and she was a very nice woman. Now,
that's what they say in the paper today.
Oh, wow.
Very personal. She made everybody feel special.
Yeah.
Feel special?
She actually did, and I think, well, she's just making me feel special because I'm Howard Stern. But
seems she did that for everyone.
She actually did. Was a very friendly, nice person who... you could certainly see why the man alive, and he could have had any girl, would fall in love with her. She was very, very attractive. And I don't mean just physically. I mean, she just was very...
She was attractive in personality as well, huh?
Yeah, she was. No kidding around. She was tall, which is something I'm attracted to immediately.
Indeed, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and very thin, gorgeous body.
Well, what a loss.
Sometimes I would see her in... Well, I'm just telling you my thoughts. And my thoughts tend to go to that.
To that, right.
Well, why do you think everyone is so enamored with John Kennedy Jr.? He was one of the best-looking guys in the world.
Well, you know, I thought about that, and I said, yeah, he was a good-looking guy, but he also had charisma.
Yes, he did.
He did have charisma. He was a charismatic person.
Well, the first time I ever heard from John Kennedy Jr. was when he started this George magazine. A couple of issues in, he wanted me to appear on the cover, so he sent me a letter. And I thought that was a really interesting notion. I had done a bunch of publicity for private parts, and I was convinced that I would never do another magazine cover for at least the next 3 to 5 years. I had done enough. And I'd been turned off to the whole process, quite frankly. Even I got sick of looking at myself. And believe me, that's rough. That's hard to do. But I was convinced I would never do another one. And when I got this handwritten note from John Kennedy Jr., I became intrigued because I had written my second book and wrote a whole sort of thing about, you know, how kind of dopey he was. And was critical.
Having met him.
Yeah, right. And, you know, just based on what I had read of him. And I was very critical of him. And I thought it was... You know, I just thought it was incredible that he would write me a letter and, you know, sort of say, hey, you know, I want to do something with you even though you were kind of harsh with me.
Oh, so he was even aware of it. It wasn't like he wasn't aware.
You know, and his secretary had him read the chapter before he even wrote me the note.
Gee, he was nice.
And he thought it was funny, which showed me he had a sense of humor, which he did. He seemed like a very, very nice guy. And I said to him that I would do the cover of his magazine because I thought that people would never believe that John Kennedy Jr. would have me do his cover because I had always goofed on Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick and
the whole Kennedy clan.
The whole Kennedy clan.
The Kennedy family feud.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
So I thought it was great that this guy had a sense of humor.
Plus you did that skit of Ted with the booze under the lantern and everything.
Yeah, who wouldn't? I mean, you know, he's easy to lampoon.
Yeah.
In fact, from what I understood, I think John Kennedy Jr. himself thought Ted was a bit of a joke. Uncle Ted. So he kind of appreciated my sense of humor and got where I was coming from and knew that it was nothing personal. It was just that I was talking about what I had read about him. And my theory had always been that his mother, Jackie Onassis, had kind of kept him tucked away because she figured, listen, this kid ain't, you know, he gonna have all his marbles and
we need all the mystery we can get.
Keep him mysterious. And I said as soon as the mother died, that's when he came out with magazines and he's doing interviews. It was his chance to find himself. But anyway, when I met him and I was doing the shoot for George magazine, this is the first time I met him now, and I looked forward to meeting him. He was very quiet and mysterious. Still. And I thought, this is a quiet, mysterious guy. I wonder what's going on. But then I met him several times afterward.
Yeah.
And he was always quiet and mysterious.
Never verbose.
Never verbose. And it was hard for me to get a handle on whether he really was, you know, was he a deep kind of guy or was he just very sort of superficial?
Well, he followed that axiom, you know, be quiet and nobody will know whether you're dumb or not. Speak and the world will know.
My problem is I'm never quiet, so I'm never mysterious. I would like to be mysterious, but I don't seem to have that ability. I have what they call diarrhea of the mouth. And I would run into John Kennedy every once in a while, and he actually just seemed like a real nice guy. He always said hello, you know, but really what impressed me was his wife, Bissett, Carolyn Bissett. And I remember all the times I spent talking to her, I was always afraid to say her name because I was afraid I'd say Caroline.
Yes.
It's Carolyn, Caroline.
How did he keep it straight?
But she was really a very, very beautiful woman. And I said, oh, my God. You know who I felt bad for getting the whole Kennedy sort of nightmare was the mother of these two girls who now
lost two daughters, and you feel sorry for her sister. She was a twin, the second sister, Lauren.
And, you know, immediately my thoughts went to the fact that she had said on many occasions that her husband was a crummy flyer, didn't know what he was doing.
Why would she get in a plane with him?
Well, according to the New York Post today, they're saying that John Kennedy Jr. himself said it's very hazy conditions and I shouldn't be flying tonight. And the wife was insistent that they drop off the sister
into Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah, I was like, how did they know that?
Maybe she became comfortable with his flying at some point.
Well,
now,
I did read that it said that she initially was not enthused about him taking it up,
right.
But once he began to, it was legal for him to solo and for him to have a passenger. She was the first to jump on the plane.
Well, these guys who fly, you know, these private planes, these small planes, what happens is, you know, he wanted to fly because he hated taking commercial airlines. Because he's a Kennedy and the most well-known Kennedy, he'd get on a plane and people start hocking him in China.
Yeah,
so,
I don't blame him.
Yeah, so he'd get upset. So this was freedom to him. But like so many guys who have a lot of wealth and a lot of free time, what would happen is that they buy a plane that they're really not even capable of flying yet.
Well, the problem with him, though, is that he was only qualified to fly if he could see where he was flying.
And that night you weren't going to see anything. In fact, experienced pilots say what happens is that when you can't see where you're going, you have to rely on instrumentation. He's not even licensed for instrumentation.
He only had like a couple of hours of training in that, which is very minimal.
Yeah. And the reason you need instrumentation is as soon as it's dark outside, and this is from people who fly, as soon as it's dark outside, what can happen is you could literally be in a spin and not know it because you have, don't forget, you have a sense of the gravitational pull of this planet when you're walking around. Your ears, you have all your senses tell you you're upside down. In a plane, you have none of those senses when it's dark. You have no visual sense, and you could literally be in a spin and not even know it.
You could be upside down and not know it.
That's right.
And then you think you're landing with your, feet down, and you're really upside down.
You're in a spin. You don't even know.
You then try to correct it, and you go into a spin, is what happens.
Right. So it's pretty heavy. And I know I was just really sad the whole weekend. Because I knew the two of them or something. I don't know what it was.
I'll tell you exactly why you were sad.
Why was I sad?
Because you kept watching the news.
That made me sad. I missed the whole weekend.
Because they were going on and on and on with their tributes and watching the family and talking about the suitcase they found.
Yeah, that really got me.
Oh, my goodness.
And how many times can news people repeat the things they have when they have no information? And yet I stay tuned because
they kept saying it was the same information for 2 days.
Right.
And so they had to start these tributes. So they kept showing you John saluting as a little boy.
It gave me something to do all Saturday. I had nothing to do.
Oh, dear.
So I was glued.
There's a number of things you could have done that would have been better than that.
I mean, it got so incredible that, they were on 24 hours a day.
But
with nothing to say. And at some point, what I loved was the kinds of information that started coming out because they've been on so long. Like, all of a sudden it'd be like, after 25, you learned that Spike Lee visited John Kennedy Jr.'s apartment to where they were holding that little tribute.
Oh, really?
But that was like new information.
Yeah, oh boy, we got something else to say.
Then they tracked down Harvey Keitel, who didn't even know John Kennedy Jr., but lives in the neighborhood. I guess they saw him walk by.
Now, you really were watching.
Yeah. And then the part I liked the most about the coverage was how they had to keep changing tenses when they spoke. Because they'd say, well, when John Kennedy was, and let me correct that by saying John Kennedy is, we shouldn't say was. Now they spend most of his time talking about how responsible he's going to be while he broadcasts. And about how he's not going to say was, he's going to say is. because if he says was, that means John Kennedy. But this is only a search and rescue mission at this point. That means he is alive. They're treating it like he's alive. And if I say was, it means because I was confused. I mean, he was correcting himself every minute. And, nobody knew whether to say, was or is.
Well, the thing that really, the reason I switched it off, because I got totally sick when I saw the number of reporters that had rushed to the Kennedy compound up in Cape Cod or wherever it is, just to look at them
and then I'm thinking,
and see how they grieve.
And you know what else is weird? Like, this is what a loser Ted Kennedy is. You know, it was the 30th anniversary of Chappaquiddick, which would have gone and passed without anybody realizing it. But all of a sudden, this happened. They go, the 30th anniversary of Chappaquiddick. This happened right near the waters of Chappaquiddick. One guy said it's a payback from...
Oh, yeah, everybody started with their theories about why the family is being treated so badly.
Right. What is that? What?
I'm over here.
Yeah.
They kept rerunning that clip when Ted... You remember when Ted went off in the water in Chappaquiddick?
Yeah.
And they had to give that press conference?
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of that, of 100 things that he said, I don't know if there's a curse that hangs over this family. So they kept rerunning that over and over again because he's the only Kennedy who ever admitted there's a curse.
Yeah.
or ever talked about it.
You wouldn't feel cursed if you were him.
But it's funny because, like NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, they're all going to be up there. And all these different people, MSNBC, they're all up there. But then when you see, Channel 9 and Channel 11, you think that there's got to be 1,000 people standing on that island.
Let me ask you something. Don't you think that John Kennedy Jr., in a way, like a lot of the Kennedys, like the last Kennedy that died speed into a tree while trying to catch footballs.
Yeah.
And I know that Kennedy had just hurt his leg, paragliding into... But he was on rollerblades. He had to complicate paragliding. Right. In other words, is there sort of a... I don't want to call it a death wish, but really it's a recklessness.
Yes.
Well, there was a woman who works for George Magazine who just recently wrote a profile of him, and she wanted to say that she thought he had a death wish. But she said, well, he's alive and well. That looks kind of silly in the article. So she took it out. But she said the psychology was that he sort of, because his father was assassinated, he had to be on the edge, he had to really feel alive.
Yeah.
So all that reckless stuff is like that feeling, that rush you get of, I'm really living now.
Yeah, I mean, the daughter, Carolyn, doesn't seem to have any of that. You don't see her.
She was whitewater rafting, wasn't she?
That's true, too.
What's going on?
Yeah, in the rapids.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, does this family ever sit still?
I was at a barbecue last night, and this guy was trashing everybody, the family and JFK.
What was he saying?
He was saying that, the papers are saying, they're on the air all weekend saying, this is America's royal family. And he goes, you know what, that's the media. It's not my royal family. I'm American. He goes, the father stole everything. They all cheat on their wives. And he goes, and you know what? They're not victims of tragedy. They create their own tragedy. I was like, ooh, calm down, man.
Yeah, that's a little harsh.
Man, angry man.
Problem.
Well, actually, they are sort of America's royalty. I can't think of another family.
Who else do you know?
They would spend the whole weekend tracking if you went down in a plane.
Right. Who else do you know as well as the Kennedys? I mean, there's the Roosevelts, the Vanderbilts, the DuPonts, but you don't know any of them.
And that Hyannisport is like the castle.
Yeah.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Lanny, you're on the air.
Hi, Howard.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? I think you guys are really great, first of all.
Well, you're right.
Well, you are. I just want to...
By the way, you won't see me going down in a plane because I don't go anywhere. You won't see me on rollerblades.
You will die stubbing your toe.
Yeah, I will die in a really dumb way.
Well, I don't... you'll be cool. You'll go down in a blaze of glory exactly the same way.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, my husband and I were watching the news yesterday, and we were just walking out the door, and I said, I really hope that Captain Jenks doesn't do anything stupid. Just as we said that, he did.
Yeah, I missed it. Everyone was...
You know what I thought about? I said, somebody's going to call, but I didn't see it.
I knew Captain Jenks would call. And the thing is that the newspaper today is just filled with John Kennedy Jr. stories and Carolyn Bessette stories, and then there's just a big story on me about what a jerk my listeners are.
I got an email about this, and I thought to myself, well, I knew somebody was going to call some show, but then when I saw it was Dan Rather and Peter Jennings, I was like, wow, that's pretty heavy.
Captain Jenks is really out there.
And then I got an email also, what's that woman's name on MSNBC, Soledad something or other?
Soledad O'Brien.
Yeah, somebody called up and called her a whore in your name.
That was Captain Jenks.
He called her a whore?
Yeah.
Yes. He said, Howard Stern thinks you're a whore.
Oh, great.
Here, with your name in it.
Yeah.
Lost it.
Yeah.
You know who should be really pissed? David Cohn of the New York Yankees. He pitched the perfect game.
Nobody knows.
Nobody even noticed.
No,
But you know, it really wasn't that big a deal because he did it against Montreal. No offense, I could pitch a perfect game against Montreal. Biggest bunch of losers.
Only the 16th in baseball history, isn't it?
Yeah.
And only the third for the Yankees.
Yeah, but it's Montreal, so it doesn't count.
Oh, well. Got to do it against somebody.
Not like a real baseball team.
Yeah, right.
I wanted them to beat Atlanta.
Don, you're on the air.
Yeah, hey Howard. Have you mentioned any apology to Peter Jennings at all about the comment that was made to him?
What was the comment?
What was the comment?
Well,
Captain Jenks is on the phone. You want to hear the calls?
Yes, I would like to.
Let me see what these are. Captain Jenks.
Hey, good morning, Howard.
So evidently you made a bunch of phony phone calls.
I was pretty bored on Saturday. I mean, I was watching the coverage and it was just like redundant over and over and over, and I was like, I got to do something.
Here's my first question. I mean, is there any screening process at all?
Gary, the most unbelievably easy I have ever gotten through any talk shows.
They never learn.
I guess they figure
I called
who would be tasteless.
They're so desperate for...
He does it every tragedy.
Yeah, but who would be so tasteless as to do it during this?
I hit them one by one within 15 minutes of each other.
So who did you get?
I got Dan Rather first on CBS. Then I got Peter Jennings on ABC.
Who should know better, Howard? Who really should know better?
You really should.
Then MSNBC with, I can't remember the girl's name, and I didn't get that one on tape.
For Jenks, this is like a perfect game for him. Like David Cohn.
This is a triple.
It's a triple threat.
Here's the funny premise here. I used the same exact person, saying that I was the same exact person, same exact premise every call.
Well, let me hear this.
Which one you want to hear first?
I don't care. It's up to you.
He got rigged up.
All right, this is Dan Rather.
But now we now have Lieutenant Ed Gaynor of the United States Coast Guard. That they found some debris. Lieutenant, what can you tell us about this debris?
Some debris has been spotted, and it is consistent with debris from a Saratoga. Whether it's John F. Kennedy Saratoga, we don't know. We also found Baba Booey's teeth were laying all in the bay, too, and Howard Stern and Baba Booey were all there.
Excuse me, when you said you have determined this debris is from a Piper Saratoga. Well, I'm not sure that we heard correctly there, Lieutenant Gaines, the Coast Guard telling us, and this is breaking information. I remind you again, this is live television, and we take in raw information. We do the best we can to be rock solid in stating fact. Now, earlier there was a report of debris spotted. Then there was a report from the FAA, Bob, that said, well, the FAA, in effect, steered us away from making any conclusions that the debris...
And now Baba Booey's teeth have been found.
Yes.
What's that?
Howard Stern is there, too.
Yeah, Howard Stern and Baba Booey's teeth.
so
Life is so stupid. John is gone, and Jenks will live to be 110.
Howard, I know we say this every time. Don't those guys listen to what someone says to them?
Well, I don't.
The whole thing, yeah.
I don't think. It doesn't look like Dan Rather's really actually done any real reporting in a long time. He looks kind of asleep.
Doesn't Baba Booey's teeth catch you off guard, and you think that maybe you might want to figure out what that is?
Well, he's not listening.
He's not. He's listening in his ear probably to something else.
And in his earpiece, they go, "You idiot! Get rid of that car."
I think he has on. I think he had the Woodstock.
Yeah, he was getting a feed.
He was getting a feed. He was getting a feed on the David Cohn perfect game.
Rather goes on about it, and then he had somebody else. I think the guy's name was something Orr.
You know what's weird to me? Like when a plane, lands in a specific area like that. That must be such an impact. That there's absolutely, they can't even find this plane.
Yeah, because everybody said, well, why can't they find this plane? I said, it's all broken apart.
Yeah. And what do you think about them? Will they ever recover the bodies, or do you think
well, it's
impossible?
A possibility.
They said that it's like they have to confine it to an area, and they just really have to go into the water, and it's really
hard. Yeah, they're bringing out these ships that actually pull up stuff from the bottom of the ocean.
Which is interesting too, because when the crash first happened, they did a press conference Saturday morning, and the guy from who does the search. Somebody said, are you guys doing a special search because it's JFK Jr.? And he said, let me tell you something. This is the same search that John Q. Public would get.
I know.
And on Sunday, I see Navy vessels coming up from Maryland.
Yeah.
The Air Force was involved and the Navy was involved. Sure, I get that.
Right.
If I died, I would not get no search like that.
Oh, I know you wouldn't.
None at all.
No, we're pretty sure you wouldn't get any search. What is it, Susan?
They'd probably get all my belongings and throw them out.
Yes, Susan.
Yeah, how you doing, Howard?
Hey, man.
As a huge fan of your show, am I the only one that's sick of Captain Jenks?
Oh, shut up, bitch.
Oh, hey, come on.
I'm sick of hearing people yelling and complaining about my calls. If you don't like it, turn off your
You know
damn
what?
TV.
Well, guess what? Guess what? You're calling these reporters redundant. Who besides you is so redundant? It's not funny. Every single thing you have to call and you have to.
Not every single thing.
You make
This
a
one.
fool of Howard Stern.
Shut up.
You make a
Shut
fool
up.
of yourself.
Shut up. Go back to bed. What did you get up early for? Go back to bed.
Please.
All right? Call and complain about this. There's nothing wrong with these calls. They're funny.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, well, you're going to sit there and watch all that damn news coverage they did on that thing the other day? It was boring. And that's the only reason I called in, because it was
How do you
boring.
know I watched
And you're a big bore. Go back to bed.
I didn't even hear your
Shut
call.
up. Go back to bed. Shut up and go back to bed. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. Okay?
You are so.
Shut up and go back to bed, bitch.
Intelligent. You're so intelligent.
Go back to bed.
Go back to bed.
Go back to bed.
Why don't you go to school or do something you like besides go on the
You know,
phone?
Jenks hasn't gotten laid in like the last 15 years.
I believe it.
Ma'am, you should feel bad for that guy.
I did.
I got laid. Don't you remember Meardy?
Life goes on.
Oh, yeah. And then one time he got laid. What, did he yell at her?
Who, Meardy?
Yeah. He doesn't think yelling at her.
Still remembers her name.
All right, so then who did you call?
Oh, well, this call isn't done yet. He still goes on about this.
Oh, okay.
The Coast Guard lieutenant says they have found debris. That debris, I believe that he said, we've lost him for the moment now, was consistent with a Piper Saratoga, but that they couldn't determine whether it was John F. Kennedy Jr.'s Piper Saratoga aircraft. But this puts the late information in a whole new context, a whole new perspective. I want to emphasize to you that this is raw information. Sometimes people call in and say things that aren't true. Sometimes, cranks, that sort of thing happens. So let's be very, very careful here with this information. One thought comes to mind, was this actually the Coast Guard lieutenant that we thought we were talking to? He jumped off that phone very, very pronto. Let's go to Bob O in Washington.
Very pronto.
Dan, I've never understood why when if you're in a crisis-type story and when people are hungry for good, reliable information, I've never understood why pranksters think it's funny to come on and just pass out erroneous information. I can tell you categorically, Dan, that last report was completely unfounded. I doubt that it was anybody from the Coast Guard. We have been told on the record by the Coast Guard and by a senior source in the Department of Transportation minutes ago, in fact, that no debris has been found consistent with the Kennedy plane. It's unfortunate that in a story where the details are changing and it's a breaking story, anyone feels it's amusing to further murky the water. So I think
they're really yelling at you.
Of course, here to say that at the moment, although we all are hoping for good news, we've heard nothing in the way of debris and nothing in the way of the aircraft or any of the people being spotted, Dan.
Good point, Bob Ord. I want to nail this point down.
I just think it's.
We do not know whether any debris of any significance has been cited
Still doesn't get it.
Nailing it down.
that on the phone, and we can be faulted for this, and we'll fault ourselves for it if this fault to be assessed. One person we believe to be a Coast Guard lieutenant said that debris had been found and it's consistent with the Saratoga Piper. We now have fairly strong reason to believe that that was, however it happened, in fault hours, if it did happen this way, that some person who, for whatever demented reason, would think that it was get through with a crank call like that. But nonetheless, with live television and handling, in effect, hot-leaded information, sometimes it happens.
He just explains stuff over and over
He's trying to nail it down for himself. He's still not sure what happened.
We all got it.
You know what's funny, though, Howard? I reported that they found debris a half hour before they actually did.
I know. In fact, you had incredible information.
Yeah, I had the same information that actually became true about 15 minutes later.
Paul, you're on the air.
This moron's got to get a line, Howard. Please, huh? Let him get a new line. That's horrible.
Yeah. You jealous you didn't make the calls?
Well, Joe didn't make the call. Get a life.
Was that your wife before?
What's the matter? You had no gas to pump that weekend, you moron? Your mother couldn't pay your $1,000 phone bill?
Go back to bed. Go back to bed.
Why did you get a life? Why did you go do something with Elephant Boys? The two of you are probably homos anyway.
Yeah, you know what? I was finding your mom when I did these calls.
There's no problem.
I was finding your mom when I did these calls.
Yes, Marty, you're on the air.
Good day, Howard.
Hey.
Yeah, I think JFK Jr. might have just faked his death.
Oh, do you?
I heard somebody say that too.
He was in Canada this week, or like on Monday. He was talking to a guy saying how he liked the country and stuff, how he was going to go away sometime. And then everything that they found is stuff the size that you could like throw at the door of a plane.
This is stuff like This is like stuff they have on the internet now. People are like,
All the theory.
Well, you never know. They haven't found a body yet. They haven't found anything significant. Everything's door size.
Well, look,
They're last they were seen that's flying at 40, 60 feet underneath radar.
all right,
And the
thank
plane has a range of 800
you.
miles.
That's silly.
oh, please. You know, Elvis, they actually had a body, and people are still seeing sightings of him.
I know.
But you know, this is going to be the latest thing, though, that he didn't really kill himself.
So who else did you call?
I called Peter Jennings. All right.
As we speak, he could be with a plastic surgeon right now. And
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that which has been recovered going to Gay Head Beach. From the Coast Guard now, Lieutenant Jr. Lieutenant, can I ask where you are?
Hello.
Can I ask where you are, first of all?
I am in the Hyannisport area.
Can you add anything to our knowledge of your search at the moment?
Talking to Captain
We just listened to
Jank.
one of your Coast Guard folks.
What's that?
I said he's talking to Captain Jank.
Yeah, very
exactly.
serious. Very serious.
Port area.
Can you add anything to our knowledge of your search at the moment? We've just listened to one of your Coast Guard spokesmen say you've identified more debris from an aircraft that would have belonged to Mr. Kennedy.
That's true. I'd like to know, do you know that Howard Stern thinks you're a dick?
Oh, I see. Just cut this gentleman off, will you? There's always one like this.
What a dick. What are you
That
doing?
happens on every crisis in America. Someone representing the disc jockey Howard Stern manages to get through. It happens.
Representing?
And it passes. So, just to...
No wonder there's a big picture of me in the paper.
Really?
We apologize to the Coast Guard that we misrepresented someone as being a member of the Coast Guard, but that kind of call doesn't surprise us anymore. John Nance.
That was it.
I mean, just because I might think he's a dick, you don't have to say that.
You should say it for yourself. You don't
Right.
think Captain Jank should.
I already had
You
one
would
call in
make
the bag.
call yourself.
Yes, Tony, go ahead.
Howard, how can you encourage this piece of garbage?
I'm not encouraging
I'm
anything.
doing it on my own.
He's doing it.
Jake, wait, hold on. Captain Jake, if you ever come to New York, I'm going to spit right in your eye.
Yeah.
Piece of garbage.
Yeah.
You will roll like Howard.
And
This
for
is why
every
you get bad press. Because
And for
you
every
encourage
jackass
this.
like you, there's 10
I'm not
people
encouraging
like
anybody.
You are encouraging.
I want to know what was
funny?
done.
You think this is funny?
I didn't say it was
You
funny. I
think
just want to hear it.
radio why everybody comes down on you?
And for every jackass like you, there's 10 people that say it was funny.
Yes, Jeff, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Howard.
Yeah.
Listen, Jank, I love your phone calls. I listen to those phone calls. I tape them. I crack up every
Let me
single
guess,
time.
this one was over the line, right?
No, this one was not over the line. This is one of your plateaus. This was one of your greatest feats. You're absolutely right. They keep running the same information over and over again. And Jank comes in and puts a little levity into the situation.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. There is a fan of Captain Jank. Yes, Dan.
Yes.
Yes.
Never know which way these are going to go.
No.
You're ready, though.
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
Hey, I just want to know who really cares what goes on with JFK Jr. I mean, just like the whole thing with Princess Diet, not going to affect anybody. People are going crazy off of these things, and there's really no point in it. I think a lot of it is that people just don't have anything to do with themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Would it ever occur to you to go find his apartment all of a sudden?
That is weird. Like Ralph called me and said, who are these people that are lining up around his apartment? I said, I don't know, but they should probably be examined. It's true. I don't know. That would never occur to me. Even, and
People seem to know what to do.
And I have a very good feeling about Junior and of course his wife, who I met and had so many long conversations with, that I really must tell you that I would never occur to me. No. Would never occur to me.
But people wound up standing around the apartment, leaving things.
A lot of people, they have nothing else better to do with themselves. Personally, myself, I keep at a strip club. That ain't nothing much better to do, but I don't go mourning after somebody's body is going to be found in the river or whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sure you're very angry.
Well, I had nothing to do. That's why I did the calls.
Yes, Melrose.
Good morning, Howard.
Oh, God.
Listen, I really didn't want to call in today, but I got to tell you something, Janks. You make me embarrassed to be part of this world.
This is one who stands on Melrose Avenue holding up Howard Stern.
No, in fact, I don't even do that much anymore. But let's not talk about me, Janks. I got to tell, a lot of people that are listening to Peter Jennings and Dan Rather they don't realize that you don't work for Howard. They think that you work for Howard, and of course you don't work for Howard. Howard wouldn't give you a dime.
Mm-hmm.
You are at the lowest form of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have any feeling of sensitivity for people's feelings? Say something, Jenks.
You are a trip, man.
What do I have to do to you, Jenks?
You are a trip.
All you care about is promoting yourself. And I'll prove this to you, Howard. Howard?
Yes.
I get an email from Captain Jenks. I haven't said a word at all, and I know we want to talk about it right now. I was in a major newspaper in New York. 3 columns about me.
Right.
And Jenks writes me an email. Too bad that story broke when Howard was on vacation. Check out my website, whatever it is.
No, that's in the signature, Melrose.
What?
That little thing is in the signature. That's in every email I sent.
Whatever.
You're such
a big star. You have nothing better to do? Why don't you read a book on Saturday, idiot?
Melrose Larry Green got arrested.
That's what I was going to ask you. Wasn't he in jail?
Yeah, he was in jail because...
Howard. Yeah, I thought it was funny. And you were on vacation, Howard, when the story broke.
Funny. Jenks, you know what's funny? Howard's funny. Chris Rock is funny. You're not funny. You're pathetic.
No, come on.
Why don't you tell me go back to bed, loser? Why don't you can't... I'll take you on anytime, anything.
Howard, you know what it is,
I'm coming
Howard?
to New York Wednesday. Can you afford airfare to New York? I'll pay for it, jerk off.
Howard, you know what it is?
I'll send you
jealousy to make the calls before me.
in New York outside Howard.
All right.
He's jealousy to make the calls before me.
And then now, who did
How did he get arrested?
Oh, he got arrested because...
Yeah, that's...
He went to a George W. Bush rally to give him $10,000 in cash in an envelope.
Yeah.
Now he has money because his mother died.
Right.
He wanted to give George W. Bush $10,000 campaign contribution. So he went to the hotel, and some of the security people take a look at him, and they said, "Hey, where are you going?" And he got upset with it, so he kept walking. And I think they threw him in the jail. But meanwhile, he had money to give to George W. Bush.
Is he still going to contribute?
So now he's suing is the whole thing. Yeah, now he's thinking of throwing in with somebody else.
And I read the article and I thought it was funny, so I sent him an email saying it's a shame Howard was on vacation because he couldn't tell the story.
Right.
And where does he find something wrong with that?
So then who did you call next?
Oh, I called MSNBC, but I didn't get this one on tape.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah, and I called that girl a whore.
Oh, I
But you
see.
said Howard Stern says you're a whore.
Yeah, well, it was by the time I got around to the third call, I was just like, I just want to get it over with.
Mike, you're on the air.
I hate to agree with Melrose, I really do. But this Captain Dickhead, does he have a life? Does he sit around watching TV all day?
Yes.
Why?
He has no life.
Nothing to do.
How old is he?
How old are you now, Captain?
I'm 24.
No.
Is your best friend the telephone?
How old are you now, seriously?
I'm 30.
He's 30.
30 years old?
I think he's older.
I'm not as old as King of Messengers was.
Is your best friend the telephone?
It is. It is,
Your
actually.
best friend?
Yes.
I wish you were in an airplane.
Yeah.
Well, get a life like everyone's saying. And do something with yourself. You're 30 years old?
You better call me Dad, because I did your mom 9 months ago.
Okay, Dad.
9 months ago.
Well, he's a really appealing child.
Before you were born on the phone.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Captain. Thanks, whatever your name is. Wow. Yeah, hi. This is,
Both calls are up on my website, by the way.
okay.
So anybody can listen to them if they haven't heard them. If anybody has the MSNBC call them with that.
You're on the,
which way is this one going to go?
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, King of All Black.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, I was watching this with my parents. Yo, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my
there you
life.
go.
Hello?
So you liked it.
Yo, it was hilarious.
Thank you.
Like, we was just looking. All the other callers are just saying that because, they live in their self through John F. Kennedy, Like, if he was black, you think they would care that he called in? Hey, so me and my father, we're looking at it, and then my mother's sitting there. My mother's like, why don't this guy just take a limo? Why he got to fly a plane at night to go to some wedding?
Well, he should, a guy who doesn't have instrument pilot license should not be allowed to fly at night. And I'll tell you the truth, it's not even so much I'm worried about these guys who are going to kill themselves. I'm afraid they're going to land their plane on my house.
Yeah, but he got an ego big as New York, and he probably,
Well, no, I don't know that he had an ego big as New York. It's just that
I'm just saying
people go up a couple of times in these planes and they think they know what they're doing. They don't.
And the guy at the airport probably told him, listen, man, you don't got too much experience. You don't need to be going. He probably said, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And he got in the plane.
Well, you might have a point there.
But Captain Jenks, that was too funny.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Casey, you're on the air.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, how you doing there, Howard?
Hey, how you doing, Casey?
Great, man. This is ridiculous, man. This guy, Captain Jenks, calling on making those stupid-ass phone calls.
Yes.
Man, she's my ex-girlfriend. She was a great woman.
Which woman?
Who are you?
Which woman are you talking about?
I'm talking about Laura.
Oh, Laura Bissett.
Laura Bissett, yeah. His sister.
You were going out with her?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Why doesn't he know her name?
What, in the third grade?
What's that?
In third grade you went out with her or something?
No, when I was about 22.
That's who I feel bad for. I feel bad for the mother of the Bissett girls.
Yeah. Well, feel bad for
Hey, Howard.
I do. I feel bad for everyone.
It's a really... I feel bad for him too, but it wasn't about that. You know, the call.
Yeah, I don't think you wished him any harm.
No, of course not.
I think that the news programs are so ridiculous that it's probably one of the few refreshing things that ever happened.
True. Hey, but Howard.
Yeah.
I used to bang your daughter.
This guy doesn't even know Laura.
I don't know.
I was waiting for Horsetooth Jacket.
I knew that guy was banging my daughter.
I dated Laura.
Yeah, Chris.
What's up, Howard?
Hey.
Hey, tell Captain Jenks that he is the man.
You like that?
He is the man.
All right.
And hey, we're over here smoking a big fat one for JFK Jr. over here in Vegas, huh?
All right, thank you.
420, Howard, over here.
Gianna, go ahead.
I think Captain Jenks should die.
He will, don't worry.
No, don't worry.
Man, Howard, with friends like him, you don't need enemies. He's
Right.
like spewing your name all over the country, and it's not good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe there's a point there. Yes, you're on the air.
Howard.
Yes.
JFK Jr.
Yes.
I made it. I floated on Gary's
Oh,
teeth.
you're JFK.
Oh, you're JFK.
Yeah, I
Jr.
survived by floating on Gary's teeth.
Oh, so you're fine.
Yeah, you want me to tell you what happened?
I didn't like Gary's teeth.
I was flying in the haze and I couldn't see.
Right.
I got distracted so I was studying for the bar exam.
Right.
I tried to make an emergency landing in New York.
Right.
But I bounced off Rosie O'Donnell's head.
I see. All right.
Yeah, wait, I want to announce my new businesses. I'm getting out of the magazine business.
That's a good idea.
What are you going to do?
I got an airline business. All flights are one way.
All right, thank you.
Wait, I got 2 more movies coming out.
What is
Howard. One of them I describe as Titanic meets Top Gun.
Right.
And the other one is Gone with the Wind meets The Fog.
I see. All right, thank you. Thank you, JFK Jr. Yeah, I know. You're a piker compared to this guy.
Howard.
Yeah?
Can I give a plug for myself?
Sure.
I'm going to be appearing in my home, eating, sleeping, watching TV, and listening to the Howard Stern Show.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Howard. Let me give my name, Howard.
Go ahead.
Scott Reeder.
All right, Scott, thank you.
Later.
All right, that's Scott Reeder checking in with his own brand of humor.
Wow, and a very dark brand of humor.
It is. What?
I thought that was JFK Jr.
Yeah, he got me feel full. All right, Captain Jenks, thank you for the phone call.
And by the way, for anybody's interested, I'm going to be at O'Hara's in Allentown hosting karaoke night Friday, July 30th.
Also living.
And I'll have these calls with me.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to know, do you know that Howard Stern thinks you're a dick?
Oh, I see. Just cut this gentleman off, will you? There's always one like this.
All right. All right, you had a busy week. You know, as I started to watch the coverage, I always forget that he does those calls.
Oh, really?
I always
That's
do.
the first thing I thought, oh, my God.
And then, like, 2 seconds later, I'm on the internet, and it's like, uh-oh, Jenks is at it again.
I always think as soon as I hear, because that's what incites Jenks, that pretentious, pompous attitude of those anchors as they drone on about nothing. It just makes him call.
Oh, look at this. Here, page 1 of the New York Post. He didn't want to fly. JFK Jr., I'm really not that experienced a pilot, but wife made him, go to Martha's Vineyard, okay? And Mr. Perfect, of course, that David Cohn tossed a perfect game.
Well, what's interesting is, whether she forced him or not, she was the one who insisted that he drop her sister off at Martha's Vineyard, because he was on his way up to Hyannisport for a wedding.
Well, you know guys who, if he had to drive her somewhere, he probably wouldn't want to do that. But when you get a license for a pilot, you want mission.
Gotta go somewhere.
You want somewhere to go.
Where should I go?
All right, I'll take you. All right, so page 2 and 3, JFK Jr. feared flying into the vineyard. Page 4 and 5, JFK, right? 6 and 7, JFK. Thank God Jackie's not here to see this. Kennedy, page 8 and 9, Kennedy family keeps silent vigil. Page 10 and 11. Death was in the air and he never saw it. Page 12. Wait, page 12 and 13. Caroline keeps private vigil on Long Island. New Yorkers pray for one of us. Page 14 and 15. Finally, they both found true love. Talking about Kennedy and Carolyn. Doomed couple was building dream home in Connecticut. Page 16 and 17. Then, page 18. Mournful magazine. Time cover. Conspiracy theories crackle across the internet. And then page finally 19. A huge full-page picture of me. Stern fan fakes out TV news anchors. And I went, oh, boy. First of all, it's a bad picture of me. Well, my teeth look nice. Don't you think?
Yes.
But that's pretty brutal, huh?
Well, it's, one of those, I don't know where they get these pictures.
That was from one of our press
I
conferences.
know, but he's under you and shooting up.
I know. Let me see what's fat.
It's impossible to be.
I know.
With all of your right.
I know. My nostrils look like a two-car garage when you shoot me from that angle. But Howard Stern fan posts as a Coast Guard official during live coverage of the Kennedy crash and got past network news call screeners at CBS, ABC, and MSNBC. The crank caller, whom RadioDigest.com identified as Thomas Captain Jenks Cipriano,
Oh, my.
first told CBS telling screeners he was Coast Guard Lieutenant Ed Gaynor. The prankster was on the air with anchor Dan Rather when he said that Howard Stern was at the crash site and his producer Baba Booey. Well, he actually said Baba Booey's teeth were found.
That was in the debris.
Then Cipriano reached Peter Jennings again, posing as a Coast Guard official. But when Jennings was insulted by Cipriano, the ABC News anchor had a rebuff. This happens on every crisis in America. Someone representing the disc jockey Howard Stern gets through. He is. Let me correct it since everyone's into accuracy. He is not my representative.
Yeah.
He's a guy who makes phony phone calls. Online with MSNBC's Soledad O'Brien, the caller said in front of millions of viewers, Howard Stern thinks you're a whore. By the way, I do not think she's a whore.
You don't even know her.
I'm not even sure who she is. Stern, who could not be reached for comment.
Oh, like you want to step up for this one.
Yeah, you gotta go find me. Has publicly claimed not to encourage such calls, but he has also aired tapes of similar pranks in the past on his radio program. Yeah, I'll air anything.
We hear lots of stuff.
Yeah.
We're not encouraging people to interview Tom Hanks, but we'll play it.
Yeah, we interview the guy from the Ku Klux Klan and play his phone line, but I don't know that I want people to go follow him. The weekend's tragedy was not the first time a phony phoner who has mentioned Stern's name has fooled network anchors in the midst of a live national telecast. Of course, Jenks did it during the Littleton thing, and you name it, he was there. So we're in the newspaper today. Thanks to Jake. I have tape of when JFK Jr. was on our show. He did the show after I did his George magazine.
But you get to be part of the tragedy.
I have several handwritten letters from him.
Well, save them.
Aren't those worthwhile? They're saying now that people are on eBay.com already selling JFK Jr. stuff.
Yeah. What kind of stuff is there?
Let me see. You know where that article is, Jack? There's a whole big article. I don't know which paper I read it in.
Right here.
No, man.
10 pages, you.
Oh, it is? Okay, here. Oh, yeah. Fires, okay. The memorabilia market where tragedy brings higher prices. Sellers took advantage of the stunning news to peddle anything stamped with John John's famous face, a ceramic replica.
That ceramic?
Oh, ceramic replica of the 38-year-old magazine editor as a young boy, sold in just one day for $700 after being posted on eBay. An autograph up for sale on eBay on Saturday attracted wild bids, hitting $305 by mid-afternoon. Yeah, but I got a letter.
You've got a letter, and how many letters?
2 or 3.
So there's good money there.
Yeah.
That's mine, too.
How do you figure, Jackie?
I work on the show.
At this moment, we don't know if John Kennedy Jr. is deceased in a plane mishap, but living or dead. No, come on. You don't know? I knew the second I turned on the news Saturday morning he was gone.
Yeah, give me a break.
Right. Because that was the best part of the news coverage.
If he had survived, we really should have made him president.
In Europe, Saturday morning, they
don't mince words.
Yeah, they were like, well, he's not our, he's not our crown prince, and they weren't mincing words. Wow. Here is you know what? Let me do this. Why don't I take a break? I'll come back and play the clips of JFK Jr. on our show.
Why don't you also auction off your letters?
Nah, that's a little too morbid. How much do you think I can get?
It's to you? I mean, that's very special.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a real rarity. This was his personal correspondence to you.
You're not talking anything like high 6 figures, are you?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, it's early yet. Maybe you ought to hold on to it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Ron. Ron, you're on the air.
Hey, Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this Howard?
Yes.
I want to know how long you think before the magazine's going to fold.
Well, I think actually the magazine was kind of in trouble.
It was on the skids anyway.
It had a circulation of 400,000, but according to what I heard on TV, you need 600,000 subscribers minimally to show a profit. And I know that the original backer had pulled out of the magazine, And, you know, I don't think the magazine was all that successful, despite his name. They needed dude broads in it, if you ask me.
Yeah,
He wasn't willing to go there.
Yeah. He wasn't willing to go to that.
Instead, he put himself in there.
Yeah, guys ain't gonna buy that.
All right, Howard, thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, so when I come back, I'll play you those clips. Dennis Rodman's coming in this morning.
He surely has something to say about this whole thing.
I'm sure he has to say that he didn't even know about it. I guarantee he's been out.
I'm anxious to find out.
I guarantee he's the one guy in America who hasn't even heard the JFK
What?
Jr. bit. I don't know nothing about it. But, who knows? One last call and I'll take a break. Michael, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Howard?
Hey.
Hey, have a part-time resident down in the vineyard. I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's a shark fishing tournament down there this weekend.
Are there sharks in those waters?
For real. 87 sharks were caught. At the Martha's Vineyard Shark Tournament. You can confirm it with the Chamber of Commerce down there.
So I guess your point is that...
He could have been eaten.
Oh, hey, I don't think they crashed and didn't get cut. Sharks had drawn the blood.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. This plane is so... I mean, when it hits the water, it breaks up into such small pieces that they can't find... Is that what's going on?
I'd have to believe so.
It's, you know, scatters, you know.
Wow.
Washed in every different direction.
I mean, that must be some... Like, it's like an explosion.
Well, they say they already have the headrest and insulation from the plane, so...
And what does that indicate, though? Does that indicate that there was a massive breakup of the plane, or is it in one... You know, is it just
well, I mean, they had a headrest and a backrest. I mean, these are separate pieces just sort of floating around.
The eeriest thing is when the luggage.
Yeah.
I mean, that got to me.
And, you know, like some swimmers saw it and, you know, just went out there and got it. I mean, that's weird.
Yeah, I tell you, I feel funny about those private planes, especially with these guys driving them who... I'll tell you why. America should be concerned. I mean, these guys can fall out of the sky right on your house. I mean, seriously, why are people allowed to fly these small planes when...
Well, they say in the paper they issue hundreds of thousands of these a year. So tons of people are doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, here's a guy who really, I mean, at least should have been minimally not allowed to fly at night. That during the day they should be allowed. If you can,
very good weather until you really have some air time under your belt.
Yeah.
These guys aren't flying every day. They're not with an. They're saying, they were saying we don't know if there was an instructor in the plane with them. Of course not. Instructor wouldn't have flown with him at night like that.
Right.
Yeah, even the instructor said they wouldn't fly. It was not optimal conditions.
Yeah, they had experienced
people with
pilots who
thousands
said
of hours were not going to fly.
Yeah, that he should have turned around because there's no way you can land visually in that haze.
Never have taken off.
Yeah.
It comes up fast over there on the vineyard too. It rolls right off the coast.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back. There's a lot of people on the phone, and I'll play you these tapes. And I even have a list of how every Kennedy died, man, and it's weird stuff.
Yeah, they always, you know, I said, here's the list.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be back right after these words.
You're listening to Mr. Show Business. Who is this? It's the Howard Stern Show. 92.3
K-Rock.
Rock Radio. K-Rock. This is... It is a lie.
All right, so we were talking about JFK Jr. coverage. Jackie Penthouse joke page Martling is four.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, I can't forget that. His 4 raunchy joke videos are only $20 plus $4 U.S. shipping. Endless stuff. Buy 2 get 1 free. Call 1-800-323-KING. And his 3 Wild Oleo CDs also available at All Sam Goody in the warehouse. For new jokes and filthy information and 3D Joke Man, visit jokeland.com. Jackie's taking a flying.
Good.
Right. By the way, the movie Eyes Wide Shut, starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, made $22 million, making it the #1 movie at the box office.
That's not a huge opening.
No.
But they're saying that a lot of the audience was glued to the TV watching the JFK Jr. coverage.
Well, I'll tell you something. Gary was telling me he was at some party. He says every third person said they'd gone to see Eyes Wide Shut, and we're just like, they said there were people walking out of the theater telling other people, do not go see this movie, it's so bad.
Well, Larry King in his column today says that he can't stop talking about the movie.
But he doesn't say, well, why?
No, he says it was a little too long, but he can't stop talking about it. Maybe he's talking about how long it was.
Well, Gary said there were people who actually stood up and booed
Wow.
at the end of the film. How much they hated it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's his 6th consecutive #1 opening.
Yeah, he can open a movie. By the way, remember I told you I went over vacation and visited Sandra Bullock and Betty Thomas on the set of their new movie?
Mm-hmm.
And
28 days or something like that?
Yeah, there was tons of paparazzi there, and they took tons of pictures of me and Sandra Bullock, and I never once saw one of the pictures. So finally, in this week's Star magazine, there's a picture of me and her, and she looks great. She's a very attractive woman, but
I didn't think either one of you looked very
Really?
good. I didn't think it was flattering to either one of you.
well, I look like a corpse. I really.
It almost looked like she was hugging a wax figure there,
Yeah.
like you were at Medicine Soldier or something.
I just want to say that's not me. That is a Howard Stern lookalike.
Okay.
I'm much better looking than the guy in that
go to the
picture.
set.
Yeah, that was not me at the set. I don't know who that guy is. He has he's had facial reconstruction, I think.
After a bad accident?
There's also a great picture of Pam Anderson and Lonnie Anderson standing
I
together.
was going to ask you about that. Is that incredible?
Oh, the both of them together make such a vision.
She looks great.
Yeah.
Lonnie does.
Yeah. Pam Anderson is so beautiful.
And Lonnie looks like, yeah, that could be her mother.
Yep.
They're going to play mother and daughter on VIP.
It's the only thing believable about the show. Pam Anderson is so attractive, it's ridiculous. God, she's hot.
Is she hotter than the Playboy playmate you saw last week?
Oh. I don't know. I just have to say Pam Anderson is beautiful.
I remember the comments being said after, what's her name? What was her name?
I don't know, but she was beautiful.
Victoria Svelstedt.
Oh, that's right.
In fact, I went on her website to look at pictures of her. Victoria.
Wanted to be with her the rest of the day.
Yep. I spent all Saturday looking at John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane and Victoria's picture.
Whatever her name is.
All right, so as promised, JFK Jr. did this show. We took a couple of clips to remember him by. Here's when he discusses arguing with Carolyn Bessette in the park. Remember they had that big argument in Central Park?
Yes.
So I said to him, well, what's going on with you two? This is before they were married. You are having some life, my friend. I know. And this is what, I mean, he really, this is a guy who had a life. This is why I think people are fascinated with him and this plane crash. This is a guy who really had the perfect life. He was famous. He was incredibly handsome, one of the most handsome men in the world.
Yes, and hadn't done anything to be that handsome.
No.
It was just natural.
Just natural.
Had a great body.
Great physique and lots of money and could have any woman he wanted.
And he did. Yesterday they had a whole page of the women he had.
So a lot of them were like, wow, good thing I didn't marry this guy.
Really? Because I'd have been on that plane.
Oh, yeah. I said, it's unbelievable. First of all, so what is the response, obviously, as long as I got you here, to all the tape that they're showing of you in Central Park messing around with that chick? I saw the tape. It didn't look like you were beating her up or anything. It looked like you were arguing.
Absolutely.
You were just having an argument.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't like you smacked her around or anything.
But when you're John F. Kennedy,
kind of media hysteria.
do you ever check to make sure that
Did you ever let him get a word out?
No. No cameras on you when you're arguing in the
No,
park?
it was funny because once the argument was completed, we kind of looked around and there was this guy sitting on a bench.
Yeah.
We were like, that's kind of weird, he's sort of looking intently at us, and then about 5 days later we got the news that the entire thing was televised.
And then you're saying, wait a second, now you have to go through your mind. What did I do? Did I do anything really that bad?
Right. Everyone comes up, well, did you see the tape? Did you see the tape? And I was like, no, I was in it. Why do I have to see the tape?
I watched it. I saw it on Day and Date.
Day and Date was playing. There's a 5-parter.
What is Day and Date?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what Day and Date is either, but there was a 5-parter. And on the first day, nothing happens on the tape, so you go, okay, they're saving the good stuff for the second part. This is where you can smack her around.
Wednesday, Thursday,
this is where you smack her around for getting pregnant. So then you go, wait a second.
Pregnant?
Yeah.
We haven't even established
we haven't gotten to that yet. I got a million questions. Yeah, right. Now, wait a second. How often do I get to talk to you?
5 parts. Wasn't part 2.
Meanwhile, this was so weird when we had him on the show that he decided to come on, because I was doing George Magazine, and there was a woman who showed up who claimed to be his publicist, but actually she was someone who had worked with Jackie O. And this was right after his mother died that he did our show. It was not too long after.
The woman who was with him?
So here's what happened. He came up by himself.
Uh-huh.
Which was really kind of cool. No entourage, nothing like that. And he was sitting in the green room reading the newspaper until we were ready for him. And then when he came in, this woman shows up who claims to be his personal publicist or something. Wasn't anything to do with the magazine. Probably one of Jackie O's people who was held over from the days when Jackie O was alive. And she was like, he's not signing any release, and you have him for 15 minutes. And she was yelling at Gary, it's 25 minutes already he's in there, and you're lying to me. And it was like a whole scene. And really, the kid could have cared less.
Yeah.
It was just all this sort of carrying on around
Everything was managed and controlled.
Yeah. And I don't think he even wanted anything to do with this woman. I think that she kind of felt an obligation to Jackie O, even though she was
still watching even.
You're watching over his image. Yeah. What is it, Baba Booha?
Yeah, she said, she told me, she got right in my face and she said, you disobeyed me. You said it would be 15 minutes and it's 25 minutes. And I'm thinking, gee, in the grand scheme of life, is that really so bad?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like we were having a bad time.
But he was great. I mean, he said he's his own person. He did what he wanted. He left when he felt like it.
Yeah. Yeah, he left on his own. See on that beret?
No, that's that cab driver hat.
Yeah. Turned backwards, though.
Yeah. You know what we're talking about, Robin? It's plaid, and it's got like a lot of the cab drivers wear it. It's a funny hat. It's like an old guy's hat.
His wife, this Carolyn Bissett, was one of the nicest people I've ever met in terms of, like a celebrity. I'm telling you, she was very down to earth and very intelligent.
Very pretty, too.
Very beautiful. And I know that she doesn't photograph well because when I would see her in person, she, first of all, had some body. I mean, I
you
saw her.
can see the body in the photograph.
Robin, I once saw her in a pair of sweatpants with like one of those short shirts, the flat, hard stomach, very tall, the long blonde hair, beautiful woman, and really a nice person.
That was another thing I learned yesterday all day long, that in high school she was voted most beautiful person.
Now, let me ask you something. Did you ever hear in a high school of someone being voted most beautiful person?
I've heard of best looking and best personality, but I've never heard of most beautiful person.
I was talking to some guy who went to the high school, and he says, actually, the principal would get up and have to hand people these awards, and he gave her, what was it? The most beautiful person award.
Wow.
It's not really for academic excellence.
In my school, they had an award. It was like best personality, best looking, and one was best afro.
What about best teeth?
No, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, because you keep saying she's very intelligent.
She was intelligent, I'm telling you.
What are you basing that on?
Just the discussions that we had about people and current events, and she seemed to be very insightful about people. I was impressed with her.
Sometimes you can be impressed.
I know what you mean.
And I'm just wondering if that has something to do.
Well, listen, whenever I talked to her, I was not sure whether I was impressed because she was this super famous person who was willing to talk to me in a normal way. B, was I impressed because she was beautiful.
Yeah.
That I'm impressed by strippers.
Right.
No, but she wasn't like that.
Because I know a lot of people have said especially now, they're saying he was much more than just a hunk. He's all of a sudden.
I didn't hear anyone saying that.
Oh, yes. Lots. Oh, God. Then you weren't listening very well. You said, he could have done anything he wanted. He was not just, he ran that magazine. He actually sat in on meetings.
Oh, no. And he was a nice guy. Let me tell you something. Very down to earth, but he didn't strike me as being very super intelligent or anything like that.
You're even saying now just because he failed the bar 3 times doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah, sure. No, but if anything, I was impressed with his choice of a woman to stand at his side, because he could have had any woman he wanted. He could have gone with some Hollywood bim. This girl was no bim, I'm telling you. She was no bim. But, spoke well of him.
I don't know.
It spoke well of him.
Because you can be impressed.
And it was another cool thing. They showed her yesterday. They showed them they had a clip of them going into some screening, and somebody said, "How's everything going?" And she goes, "It's going well." And they said that was a lot for her to say. She wasn't a big loudmouth.
There were a couple of years ago that she was reduced to tears because they kept flashing the bulbs as she just walked out of her house every morning.
Yeah, but I hate when
she was painfully shy.
I hate when you see somebody with a big loudmouth. Like, she was just very nice.
Yeah. Well, she was nice, and again, a lot of these rich guys have I don't know, and particularly with the Kennedys, the same way they skied down a mountain playing football.
Well, they even said with John F. Kennedy Jr., somebody was saying the first time he went skiing with him, he took him immediately to the biggest drop.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's almost like a daredevil death wish kind of thing. Honest to God. Really weird. And, of course, the networks didn't know what to say because it wasn't working out. They figured they'd find the plane within, 10 hours or something.
There was no conclusion to this story, no new information for hours and hours.
Yeah. And, at some point they didn't know what to say. They spent most of the day going, John F. Kennedy was a great man. I mean, he is a great man. Let me correct that. We're still holding out hope. And I was like, you guys are the only guys holding out hope. There's nobody holding out hope. There was some guy from the Coast Guard who was on the air going, I've seen situations where a person isn't found for 4 days and we find them. I'm like, they ain't finding nobody.
Really? This is not, Africa.
Yeah, they're not in the bush.
Around the woods.
If they washed up somewhere, someone would find them.
Right.
But they kept changing tenses. In Europe, they had that morning. And I told you, they ran out of places. At one point, they were outside the vigil, outside the apartment of John F. Kennedy Jr., which I'm always shocked that people show up and start putting things there. I'm just wondering who are these people that think to do this. It would never occur to me, but what can I tell you? But they came out and they go, Spike Lee walked by here. And that I knew.
Was he on his way by, or did he make a special trip?
I think he made a special trip. So
he should be rounded up with those people.
That's when I knew. Rounded up for questioning. That's when I knew they were out of news. Harvey Keitel just happened to be walking by because he lived in the neighborhood and they interviewed him.
That's more reasonable.
They'd run out of people to interview.
But I do wonder about the idea that the first person to get the picture of the Kennedys crying is, going to be worth money.
Really?
Stalking, they're hanging around that compound in droves.
I didn't realize you'd get money for that.
Oh.
I would have.
Are you kidding?
I would have flown down. Stood outside. That's always weird. That's got to be a weird job.
Yeah.
Standing outside somebody's house after they just lose 3 people.
Waiting to see them, yeah.
Because we need a shot of you crying. If I was a Kennedy, I'd put landmines in front of my house. I could blow up the reporters.
But you know what was interesting to me? That he and Caroline are really close. They say they speak almost every day.
Who?
John and Caroline, his sister.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That's nice that they were friendly and close like that.
Yeah. I haven't heard from my sister in 3 weeks. You know this song? You know who that is? That's Lou Reed.
I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Lou Reed could be really bad sometimes. Like if a listener had sent that to me, I would have thrown it in the garbage.
Yeah, because I thought this is somebody's homemade tape.
And then Lou Reed can be incredibly great sometimes. I'm very confused about Lou.
With something from left field, sometimes it makes my hands crunch into a fist. Just take it easy on chiming in so much. Think about what you want to say. Think if it's that important to interrupt Howard Stern when you say it, and then take the approach, whether you're going to do it or not. She has a tendency sometimes to get real. She's become a pig on the mic. The micro, like a hogging it up. Just take it easy. Don't be so piggish on the mic.
When did you start?
Slow it down.
When did you start feeling this way?
Jeez,
1982?
No. I would say, recently, about 7 months ago, somebody sent in an email, and Howard read it, that Robin is chiming in a lot. She's not chiming in, she's stepping on Howard a lot. And Howard read it, and I remember that week, she really piped down a lot. And you know what? She was brilliant, and I loved her, and I still love her. But she's got to know her role. You can't have too much of everything. You're going to turn people off. Slow it down, Robin. Just slow it down a little. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart in a kind manner. Just take it easy.
So let me ask you a question. The 28 years or 28 or 29 years of chemistry that Howard and Robin have together, you're saying that she's veering off from that?
I think she's really good at what she does, but I think she's becoming so confident that she's Robin Stern. You're Robin Quivers. You're the sidekick. You're the co-pilot. Wait for the pilot to make the move, and then listen to him and know your role. Know your place. You know what I mean?
Hi, this is Fred Norris of the Howard Stern Show. Guess what? On the wrap-up show for Wednesday, we had a very exciting talk about Jesse James, the outlaw bike builder. We spoke about what a great guy he was. We spoke about how he was willing to build Howard a custom-made chopper, which could run up to $100,000 in cost. We talked about, this is almost as long as the wrap-up show. Why don't you just watch it instead?
Our in-studio guest today was the one, the only Jesse James. And did you know a lot about Jesse James coming into this, Gary?
Knew nothing about him.
Really?
In fact, I mean, here's what I knew about him. That he used to be married to Janine.
that he had something to do with motorcycles. I wasn't sure what, and that he's married to Sandra Bullock. But my first hint that he was more than just a guest came when our very own program director, Tim, came in and said that was his hero. He said that, he goes, "You're my hero." And I didn't understand exactly what he meant. And now as everyone called in, I realized, like, if you're into motorcycles, he's the guy.
Well, it's not only that, Gary. That's when Tim encountered you. You didn't see Tim jumping and running down the hallway to get to see Jesse James. I mean, he was just he had stars in his eyes.
Yeah, he said Tim told me he was nervous meeting Jesse James, and I was a bit of a dick. I felt really bad. He goes, "Jesse, I just got to tell you, you're my hero. You're unbelievable. I think the world of you." And I go, "That's so funny," because that's what he said to Arlen Specter last week. Because it's true, he likes Arlen Specter too.
Now, does Jesse James come off as a badass at all?
No, I mean, I didn't know much about him, but he's got a really good vibe. He just seems like a good guy. He's like sort of, I read the notes on him, and I see he's been through some crazy shit, but he doesn't look like he's going to kick your ass, except for all the tattoos going up and down both arms. But he seems like a sort of a gentle guy, and I don't know. I think he came across as really nice.
And Tim wasn't the only one who was excited. Fred was happy about it, and I think Fred's going to drop by. But Robin was also very excited to meet Jesse James.
Is that the titties were out for him? Is that what the deal was?
That's the rumor that was going around. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
The truth is the titties were out. Whether for him or not, I don't know.
Right, that may not have been the reason. But had you seen him at all on Celebrity Apprentice?
No, in fact, I only heard a couple of clips. I heard one clip that JD had pulled for when Dennis Rodman was here, where Dennis Rodman went off on him. So, in fact, I thought I knew what he looked like, and I was completely wrong. I don't know why. I thought he was Ricky Rackman. You know what I mean? Like, that's the vision I had in my head. Jesse James, I don't know, all those West Coast guys that were married to porn stars. So I probably couldn't even pick him out of a lineup before today. But again, really nice guy.
I mean, he's a lot different on Celebrity Apprentice based on the way they put it together. And you got to hear, he spoke more here than he did in the entire season. And I thought he was pretty charming. Did you like him on the show today, Benji?
Yeah, I think he was very likable. It was funny. I like how pissed he got at Ralph, though. It was like he's such a nice, friendly guy, but like Ralph really got him. Like he looked like he was like ready to start punching someone.
Well, one, that's Ralph's expertise, as we all know, and two, you don't want to mess with this guy. And he talked about that a little bit. He doesn't want to put that out there because he's challenged a lot, because he's known to be a pretty tough customer.
Takes one swing at me, I'll have all that miscongeniality money.
And miscongeniality too.
Exactly.
Don't forget that. Now, before we get to Sandra, we got to talk about Janine. He didn't really talk a lot about their marriage, but you could tell it was a rough ride.
Yeah, he kept calling it his nuclear disaster, which is, you never want to have your relationship referred to that way. And I thought that the line really hit it on the head. Howard goes, "It must have been great. You're married to this porn star." And he goes, "Dude, everything isn't the way it looks when you see it," and that spoke volumes about it.
Yeah, if you missed it,
well, actually, I'm sorry. I don't know if you have the line.
Yeah, I think I have the line you're talking about. I think this sums it up pretty much. Hit it, Ted.
Was it weird for you being married to a porn star for a while? Like, I mean, is it that like guys think that they can have their way with your wife, and
I think it she'd been retired for like 5 years,
right?
And so it wasn't really like on the tip of your tongue. It wasn't like she's a current huge star. It was like over in the past, and she was changing. But then, I think it's harder for her to be in that kind of spotlight.
Would you recommend that a guy marry a porn star, or do you think that they have too many problems that it's just too much of a thing to overcome?
Just buy the DVD.
Just buy the DVD. Yeah,
Don't even go there. Just buy the DVD.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better to beat off.
That was a line.
Yeah, that pretty much sums that up. And were you surprised when you learned that he was married, not today, but in the past, when he was married to Sandra Bullock? That kind of came out of nowhere, and that relationship seems to have stuck for a little while.
You mean surprised that they ever got? I mean, at the beginning, again, I'm as guilty as anybody. You don't know anything about people, and you just see them in the tabloids, and you see this guy that used to be married to Janine, who's some biker dude. You see him and Sandra Bullock together, and you go, oh, it must be Sandra Bullock's sort of fling, her wild fling. Certainly they can't really like each other, but I don't know anything about him, and it turns out that they really love each other.
Yeah, even he said she figured he'd be a bigot, he'd be this and that, and they ended up doing pretty well together. And Howard found out a lot about how they carve up their finances as well.
I think Howard probably got more out of him than he's probably done in any interview. And he even said at one point, he goes, when Howard asked about the sex, he goes, dude, I'm going to stop. I've already said enough.
Now, he also gave advice about how you have to listen to girlfriends and your wife, and he's talking about going gardening, and that's the greatest idea I've ever heard.
Right, but he said it in such a sarcastic way, as if you have to be really not sincere and go, "Honey, gardening's great."
And he, let's go to.
They don't have kids together though, right? He's got his own kid with Janine, but him and Sandra don't have kids together.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that it's easy to pretend to want to go gardening.
That's true. Paul in Philly, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good, Paul. How are you?
Great. Listen, I just wanted to tell you, I thought Jesse was really good today. You could tell it's like two different guys. I watched a little bit of that Apprentice, and it's like very uncomfortable there. And in the studio, he just seemed like he was at home, with you guys.
Yeah, he said, I got to tell you, he told me in the green room, and he said it when he first walked in, too. He said he was extremely nervous about coming on. He'd done 60 Minutes on all these other shows, but to him, Howard was like a different level, and he was very nervous about coming on.
Yeah, it just seemed like, he really hit it off with you guys. He was really happy to be there,
Yeah, good guy. Good guy.
Do you think people can appreciate a guy like Jesse James because of what he does? I think initially you hear, he makes bikes, and he's
he just makes bikes. You know what I mean? Like again, I don't know much about motorcycles, and this much what I'm about to say I learned from Fred. Fred will talk in a minute because he just showed up. But I didn't realize that to me a motorcycle is a motorcycle, and that there are guys who make motorcycles that's like a piece of art if you're into motorcycles.
It really is. I mean, it's one of the few things that you can buy. I mean, when he was talking, he said the most expensive motorcycle that he made was $300,000. When you think about a handcrafted, personalized motor vehicle for you, that's a bargain. I mean, if you can afford $300,000.
That was the other great part of the show this morning was when he offered Howard a bike, to make Howard a bike, and Howard said, first of all, listen, I could buy my own bike.
There are
Tim came to my office and started jumping up and down again and going, I can't believe he's not going to take the bike. Why won't he take the bike? He's got to take the bike.
Tim was very excited out there.
What he should do is he should get a Howard wig and go up to him and say, I was just kidding out there. I mean, I really want the bike. Now send it to Tim's address.
Now, Fred, you're an expert in this field. I don't
know about an expert, but
you're knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable.
How good is Jesse James at what he does?
He's definitely one of the top 5 bike builders that there are around. I mean, somebody brought up Indy and Larry today. Rest in peace. He was one of the greats too. And there are guys that are like that. And I really think it's like the last frontier in terms of like customized cars and bikes and things like that. People don't customize cars that much anymore because I think they all look the same and they all look like jelly beans. But at least with a motorcycle, it's like the last frontier. It's kind of like being a cowboy.
Now, that Orange County Choppers, are those guys just an interesting show, or are they really good motorcycle makers?
You know what? The jury's out on them. The real aficionados of bike building, they poo-poo them. And I'm one of the few people that doesn't, because I think anybody that brings bikes into the collective consciousness of the United States and makes them more acceptable and makes them appealing to the masses. That was one of the things that Jesse was talking about this morning. When you're riding in traffic, people have no respect for motorcyclists. I mean, they barely have enough respect for other cars.
Well, I think
but when you're on a motorcycle, you're very vulnerable.
I don't know why this pisses me off. I'm always very respectful. Like a motorcycle guy, if he's in front of me, I like to be very far behind because I always think if he falls, I don't want to run him over.
Right.
The thing that always pisses me off about a motorcycle guy is when he goes between cars.
Something, I agree with that. And I think in New York State, I mean, there's certain places in the country where I think that's legal. I don't think in New York State that is legal, and I agree. I think it's a dangerous practice, and I think people should not do that because it freaks people out. Well,
also, a motorcycle guy, like on the highway, they always show up in your blind spot when they do that.
Well, that again, it's like that comes down to bad motorcycle riding. I mean, I used to ride a lot when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. I rode a motorcycle before I ever drove a car, and I got a motorcycle again about maybe 10 years ago. I hadn't ridden in years. Maintained my license, hadn't ridden in years, and I, when I decided I was going to go back, I signed up for a motorcycle safety course, took a series of lessons, read a lot of books, and that's one of the reasons I feel fairly confident when I'm riding on the road, because they'll teach you where not to ride in the blind spot, what not to do, the stupid things that you can do to get yourselves in the trauma unit.
All this talk about safety, so that brings me to a question. You've known Howard longer than me. Mm-hmm. Is in your time with the show, was there ever any chance that Howard's getting on a motorcycle?
Not unless Bianca and Beth were like being held for ransom or something. There's no way that he would do it.
On Thursday's wrap-up show, Sal came by, and I don't know how it came up, but we got started talking about Robin again. And Sal at first was trying to explain himself, but then he broke down a little bit, and it led to a lot of good conversation, a lot of controversy, and Robin eventually coming in here to confront him on what's going on in Sal's mind. And I've been trying to figure that out for 3.5 years. But it was a good show, and watch for yourself. Why are you so glum?
I'm not glum. Just
You
waiting
see-
for my beating.
You seem
Not a
glum.
I'm on standby.
Why do you say that every time? I'm waiting for my beating.
Because whenever I express myself on this godforsaken shithole, I get ripped apart the next day.
No,
So what's no, I do. And you know what? I'm going to. Maybe this is a
Well,
good
what are
thing.
we talking about here?
I'm
We're
gonna
talking about
censor
are we talking about the game, or are we talking about how
Whatever
you
we're
verbally attacked Robin?
which godforsaken shithole
listen,
are you referring to?
Okay, I know I attacked Robin. I didn't view it as an attack. I knew I attacked Robin. I didn't view it as an attack. It came off as an attack.
Well, how would you
And
view it? In other words,
as giving, without being,
You just said, I know I
without
attacked.
being redundant, it was constructive criticism that she took personally. And I know a lot of people feel that way, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I offended Robin. That wasn't my intent. But, if somebody else gave criticism, it wouldn't be as bad. I always have to be the guy that stepped on in
See,
the
that's
end.
not true.
That's wrong.
That's just not true.
No, it is. It's true.
It is. Don't
Because
pay-
I'm the only one. I'm the only one who gave Robin good advice, as far as I'm concerned.
No, you're the only
But-
one that gave
and
her
I'm-
that advice, and you think it's good advice, and that's you could think that, but
I
you,
can.
you don't.
And you're not better than me, Gary, to tell me.
I'm
whether
not saying I'm better than you. I'm saying you don't have the ability to recognize that you took a solid 10 minutes on the wrap-up show to talk about how Robin is literally single-handedly fucking up the show, and it's your opinion that she's fucking up the show, and we don't say a word, and we let you say whatever you want, and you don't have the ability to think that she might be offended by that.
Well, you interpreted it as me saying she fucked up the show. I said I would prefer if she just slowed down a little bit. And that's what I really said.
Slow down. Know your place. Slow the fuck down.
And that's it. And then it just turns to this whole... So, you know what? I'm not going to express my opinions anymore on you guys. Because when I do, everybody gets into a tizzy. Everybody gets all upset. It's not worth it.
Actually, you probably get called on the carpet about 1 out of every 10 times you express your opinion, because you express your opinion a lot. But but seriously, when you were talking, did it not hit you in the head that Robin might not appreciate that? Were you surprised when Robin grabbed you in the hallway?
I lost a little sleep the night before.
Did she just?
It started hitting me like, oh boy, I wonder how she's going to interpret this. I hope I didn't. I felt bad about it. I thought it was a
But
little.
why would you feel bad? It's just
I
an
was
opinion.
a little harsh,
but it's an
because-
opinion.
but
It wasn't
this-
an attack.
It was tough love.
But like when you said that Howard's tongue had Robin's feet mark on it, like was that?
It's got a Reebok mark.
Well,
Right,
that-
Reebok mark. Yeah, was that-
sometimes you have to paint the picture to get your point across, and I felt at that moment that was the case. And I have no ill will towards Robin. She told me to fuck off. God bless her. Whatever
Sal,
she wants.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what happened? She just grabbed you in the kitchen and said, "Fuck off."
She was in the kitchen.
Or did you say something to her first? Like, did you say, "Hey, I love you"? Or
no, I
how's
didn't
it
say, "Hey, I
going?"
love you."
Hey, Robin, listen about
She
that
said,
you suck thing.
I said something like, "Hello, Rob." She's like, "Should I say hello back, or would I be talking too much?" And
and you go, "Really? What do you mean?"
And I said, "Really? What do you mean?" I really did. And
Just in
she's
case.
like, and she goes, "Sal." I'm like, "Robin, as soon as I said that, and I did, and I said it on the show too." She goes, "Love you, schmuv. You don't start with that bullshit. Just because you have," and she really laced into me. She's like, "Just because you have problems at home and and you have the ability to stand up to your wife, and you have issues with women, you think you could take it out on me?" I'm like, "No, it's not. That's not the case at all." I go, "Robin, that's not the case." I go, "I just want to let you know that in certain circumstances, I think you chime." And she's like, "Fuck off." And she turned around with her cup of celery juice that's going to go up her ass in the next 5 minutes. And I said, "Robin, I go, let me." She goes, "Take another step. I'm throwing this in your face." And I'm like, "Whoa," and that was it. And
you know what the greatest part is?
I feel the thing is, I really feel bad. I don't like to have tension between people, especially your coworkers and your friends. I feel bad about it, but it bothers me. Like I don't know. Like I expressed how I felt, but it's not worth it.
I don't think you expressed it in a way that somebody would like. You thought it was constructive, but it really did come across as a bit of an attack. And my favorite part, by the way, is how you made a point of telling us that day, "I'm not going to be one of those fucking assholes that says, 'I love you, Robin,' but," and all you've ever said, starting every sentence, including when you saw her in there, was, "I love you."
Yeah, that's true. But I said that I'm not going to be an asshole that says, "I love you," but because I really do love her. Like, I'm not going to be a liar. That's what I meant. like after on the show every
I'll take
day.
500 shares of Logistics, please.
You need a decipher from like the Da Vinci Code to figure out what Sal means when he says shit.
When you get caught in a conversation with Sal, I do understand why he was so successful at selling stock, because he really tells you. Like sometimes I would walk out of there confused.
Well, that's because he says 3 different opinions that often contradict each other in
but
one
they're
statement.
not. I said what I meant.
What?
And
Robin walks all over Howard?
That I care about Robin, but I felt lately she's been chiming in too much, and I meant that. I expressed it maybe in a harsh way that she took offense to it, and I'm sorry that she took offense.
Can I
because
just say,
I don't like the tension. I do like Robin, and I think she's great at what she
assuming your
does.
criticism comes from a sincere place, did it ever occur to you that maybe a 25-year broadcasting veteran didn't want to hear the opinion of a stockbroker?
More like
wise man, 5-year listener.
More like a 30-year veteran. Robin's been on there for like 30 years.
A wise man learns from a fool. A fool learns from no one. What? It's exactly what I said. If you guys can't interpret that,
a wise man learns from a fool, and a fool learns from no one.
So that means there's always something you can learn, whether God.
No, what it means is a fool has the inability to learn nothing, but a wise man should listen to the fool.
Yeah, you can learn from a fool's mistakes. You can learn from a fool and a fool's actions. But there's always advice to be given.
So who are you in this scenario? Who are you?
Unfortunately, I'm the fool because Robin has the experience. So I'm putting Robin on the pedestal here. But she can learn. So you can always learn something.
But I'm just saying it was unsolicited.
Hey,
like if she had come to you with a
does
friend
Richard
and
Roper
said,
have the right to tell somebody how to direct a film? No, but he could critique it. Yet he has no experience in that field.
By your
but I have experience.
You're not
at least a little bit, not as much as Robin.
Technically, you're not here to critique. Richard's
I'm not,
hired to critique. That's
and that
a big
goes
difference.
back to my first statement. I'm done giving my opinion and critiquing.
Oh, put the $1,000 on the table right now. There's no way you're done.
As much as it pains me, I'm done.
You're not done.
Honesty is dead.
And you're the fool, and you've learned nothing based on your analogy?
No, a wise man learns from a fool. A fool learns from no one.
So who have you learned from?
I've learned to keep my mouth shut. I've learned from this fool myself, I guess.
Jack in Long Island, you're on the wrap-up show.
Yeah,
I think that's an Aesop fable or something. Look it up. It's on Google.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to talk to Sal about what's going on with him.
Oh, this is Ronnie Munt.
Who?
I could tell. I could smell the Metamucil coming off your skin.
Yeah, well, hey, dude.
Yeah, I can smell.
You know what, dude? You do
Hold
this.
on.
You do this every time.
Take that diaper you have around your ass and wrap it around your mouth.
You do this.
Please?
You do this every time. You cause trouble for yourself.
I do.
And then you cry like a baby.
I'm not crying one bit. I'm just learning my lesson.
Now you did it with Robin. Then
I didn't do anything with Robin.
Like a little baby.
Ronnie, I'm not being a baby here. I'm learning, Ronnie, that I shouldn't express myself because you get in trouble.
Baby, man, you don't quit.
Baby, just the opposite of a very, very old person.
Go lock yourself in your room, like I told you a long time ago. Go lock yourself in a room there.
Ronnie, I'm sorry, Ronnie, that you have to ride my coattails for attention, but your point is your point is just worthless. It's just stupid.
My point is so right.
No, it's not
because
right.
I
expressed myself about Robin. Robin got upset. I'm upset that she's upset. It's not worth it.
Who are you to express yourself about Robin?
And who are you to tell me what I should and should not do?
Because you're hired here to be a writer.
And you're hired to be a Howard's driver, so shut the fuck up and drive.
I do.
What are you doing calling in on a show?
I'm waiting for him. I'm busy.
All right, so wait.
Whoa, settle down, everybody.
Jesus Christ, this guy.
Hold on, Sal, wait a second.
You're a stupid asshole.
Now, Jack, doesn't Sal have the right to express his opinion?
No, not. Why should he? Who is he?
I mean,
nobody.
if he's asked a question, he's simply answering it.
Nobody asked him to make it give opinion on Robin, whether she should talk more or talk less. Who is he? He's nobody.
Robin's here.
Hold off on the break. Robin's here.
Rob, Benji, can you come right here, Robin? So
I'm in the hall, and people just keep telling me stuff about Sal saying various things. Why is this still going on?
Well,
didn't you have your say?
I said I
heard
felt bad.
No, he's not. He hasn't been degrading you. What he's saying
No, but he
doesn't.
said he was delivering a communication. I got it.
He doesn't. We were asking him how he could go off for 20 minutes and give his opinion. I put in quotation marks, and I said, "Did you not think that it might come back to bite you?" And he goes, "No, not really."
Well, when somebody said Sal didn't understand, I said he could stop there. He doesn't have to put anything after that sentence. Sal doesn't understand anything.
That's true.
Just say that. I don't understand.
I don't understand.
I would egg you on, Robin, but right before you walked in, Sal's like pretty much on suicide watch right now.
No, I'm not.
Ronnie told me that Sal said he's losing sleep. I said, you shouldn't tell me that.
Yeah, because we feel bad.
So, Robin, did you take Sal's advice to heart?
Oh, shut up, John.
Do you really think I would take
Never.
Sal's advice for anything?
No. But clearly, I mean, you yelled at him in the kitchen, so something must have bugged you one way or the other.
Sal isn't attacking me. Sal is attacking all women when he talks
That's
to me.
what she said in the
And
email?
that's what I don't mind an attack on me. Like I said, when he said Artie did something wrong, it was Artie did something wrong. When he says, something to me, it's like, know your place. Well, where would my place be?
This week in Arizona.
Howard's at the window. He sees Robin talking to Sal, and he's got this quizzical look on his face like, should I go in there? And then he just left.
He's like, so what would your advice to Sal be?
I don't have any advice for Sal, because if I try to give Sal advice, because quite frankly, when I was talking to him on the air, I was trying to explain to him what a Google search is, which I don't think he understands. And I got, know your place. Shut up. Stop piping up over there. So I can't give Sal advice.
Robin brings up a good point. Like, when you fight with Artie, why don't you tell Artie to know his place?
Because Artie threw a CD at my eyeball.
Are you still angry at him, Robin?
I'm not angry at all. I didn't even know
me.
this was going on. And people are telling me. I said, but the worst thing to tell me is that I made you lose sleep, because I'll keep you up the rest of your life.
A kind of cool show happening today. Jimmy Kimmel, who I saw this weekend, by the way, we were hanging out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Jimmy and his cousin Sal.
He's dating his cousin Sal.
Yeah.
No, Sarah.
Well, I did have some alone time with Jimmy.
Yeah.
And I got to ask him about, Sarah Silverman.
Did he open up?
He opened up, but, when a guy opens up to you in private, this is the problem with me associating with people outside of the show. They kind of give you they preface their statements by saying, look, this is some stuff I'm going to talk to you about.
It's embargoed.
And all I'll tell you about that, I'm embargoed. But I'll ask him about it on the air, and we'll see how clean he comes. But
yeah, but you know what? Do you really care more about Jimmy than the show? Fuck him over. Really?
Well,
let's do
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
I am a man of my
Are you ever
word.
going to get better information out of him?
Yeah. But I got to tell you something. This is how bad I am with people. This is another story of how bad I am. Jimmy began to open up to me about him and Sarah and, what was going on.
And was really open, huh?
And then afterwards, like Beth said to me, well, what did Jimmy say? I said, I don't know.
You had no idea? You
I have
didn't
no
even
idea.
listen? You blanked out?
I think I listened, but I didn't understand what he was saying. It didn't make any sense to me.
I think the only reason you listen to me in those situations is because you're so fascinated how fucked up I am. Heroin is like something.
He's really fascinated about interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, but I think maybe it's boring to him now.
I listen to you because we're on the air together.
Oh, geez.
I can.
So in a
hear
year and a
you
half,
on the
I should
air.
stop calling
If
you.
Jimmy talked to me on the air, I would understand everything.
Right.
I mean, you'd question him.
Yeah.
You don't even ask questions.
No,
in
I
these
meant even
situations.
personally.
I did, Robin.
Even when I call you, you listen.
Yeah. But I even said to Jimmy, I said, I don't understand what you say. In other words, okay, you guys broke up and you're explaining it, but
you don't get it.
I still don't know. I don't even know that you really told me anything here. I don't understand. And then he started again to tell me stuff. And maybe he was just being guarded or whatever. But
I have I've had that experience where people are saying a lot of words, but I don't understand anything they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you.
They're usually foreign people.
I swear to you, I am as in the dark
as before.
And the only
good.
thing I know is
Dear.
what Jimmy has said publicly, that she broke up with him.
So basically, you are saying everything you know on the show, so that's good.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I could tell you everything he said, but it doesn't make any sense. So, you know what? He'll come in here, and whatever he's comfortable talking about, we'll
He probably
go
isn't
to.
comfortable talking about any of it.
Probably not.
On the air.
No.
All right, Jimmy Kimmel's here, man. Old friend of the show. We got a lot of old friends here. We don't have no new friends. We got only old friends. What the fuck?
Kind of like you.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you. Come on in.
Jimmy.
Hey, what's
Morning.
happening?
How you doing, man?
Good, thanks. I thought you were going to come to my hotel room and wake me up
I
there.
wish.
At this thing.
So what brings you down to the show today?
What do you think brings me down in the show?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I have a lot of important things to talk about on the show. Gary's penis.
What you're talking about right now?
Yeah. No, I had a similar thing done to my penis, so I feel like I can add a lot to the
You're going
conversation.
to share your experience with us
Yes,
today about that?
I'll help make men in their cars crouch over throughout the morning today.
All right, Jimmy Kimmel's here. Bring in Jimmy.
Jimmy, you gained weight.
No, that's Artie. There's Jimmy. Jimmy's actually lost weight.
Look at Jimmy.
Jimmy's thinner. Good to see you, dude. Artie is... Actually, Artie's
Hi.
thinner, too. Hey, James.
Hello, Howard. I
Host
can't hear
of-
anything in my headphones, but my cans.
Host
Oh.
of Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Don't act like you haven't seen Howard. We heard you spent the weekend together.
Yeah, we made love.
I thought that was going to be our secret.
No, that wasn't a secret.
Oh.
It's just, you know what it is?
What?
When I hang out with Jimmy, I feel kind of like I disappoint him.
What?
Why?
Because when I'm not on the radio, I'm not a whole lot of fun, and I'm actually kind of quiet and not all that witty. And I think Jimmy kind of worships
Are
me a
you
little
fishing for compliments?
No. Jimmy, I'm being serious. Jimmy,
Welcome to the show, Jim.
Jimmy looks up to me.
It's true. That is true.
And
like,
so you expect that he expects something
like I had
more.
Jimmy's stories, like when he was in high school, he listened to me, or someone sent him a tape, and he wanted to go into radio. I don't know what the whole thing is, but then like when
Is this
Jimmy's-
your way of saying you want Fred to play music and for me to go on?
No, it's him saying he wants Ralph to
No,
play
but
music.
it's always awkward because I know, probably Jimmy's expecting this great guy to hang out with him, and I'm
Well-
really not a lot of fun, as Beth will tell you.
I disagree. We did have a lot of fun, and I have a lot of fun. I'm not. What do you think I'm expecting? I'm not expecting Robin Williams bouncing off the wall.
That would be annoying.
But I know, like, you like to sit and, like, like Jimmy came out to see me, so it was like, then I feel obligated that, we should be together.
Yeah, well, that is one of the things when you go visit
When you
somebody. actually
visit
see
someone,
them.
they actually are supposed to be with you.
You should do the Great Gatsby. You should just never show up.
Well, after Jimmy left, I said to Beth, I said, Jimmy's a great guy. Everyone knows I love Jimmy. I think Jimmy's a really together great guy.
Together?
Yeah, he's got it
pretty
together.
Robin.
Yeah, he is pretty together.
Robin, you're sitting on a pot of coffee. How dare you judge?
Well, nobody said I was together.
I really like Jimmy. No one could be an easier house guest. I even like his cousin Sal.
He's an easy house guest?
I am.
Sal, yeah, because Sal is like that wall. He doesn't say anything. He says
You just like a potted plant.
He was nervous. He's not usually like that.
But I said
You
to,
give Sal a sports sticker, he's fine for
I said to Beth afterwards, I said, Jimmy coming out to the house makes me realize I don't think I want people coming out to the house. So she goes,
Good, thanks, Jim.
this is positive. She said, why? She goes, no one could be easier than Jimmy. Like, Jimmy's so great. I said, that's right. And the fact of the matter is...
Everybody else is a pain in the butt?
No. I said, even I can't handle that because I couldn't even sleep when Jimmy was over because it was like... I'm like, oh my God, Jimmy's probably awake and he wants to
Let
get
me
together.
go down and see
I
what
gotta
he's
go
doing.
So I'm up at 5 a.m. checking to see if Jimmy's
Well,
up.
who's up at 5 in the morning looking to get together with their...
I'm neurotic. I can't have people
He
over.
doesn't want Jimmy to be walking around while he's sleeping.
You know what you got to do, Jim, is you got to just... Howard knew I'd be asleep till 3 p.m.
And then at 9 a.m. I was going to have a chess lesson. I felt guilty. I said to Beth, is it okay that I'm having a chess lesson? Because what if, it was for an hour. So I was like, she goes, well, I guess so, but Jimmy's your guest, and he's here. And I go, but I want my chess lesson, too. You mean Jimmy can't hang out with his cousin and do stuff?
No, I'm fine. I don't like to get up early anyway. But in fact, I actually intentionally, I got up what I thought was early. I got up at I made sure to get up at 9:30. So around when your chess lesson was over, then we could
hang out.
Yeah, we
You should have combined the two and had Jimmy give you a chess lesson.
Yeah.
Why don't you just say to your guests, you know what? I got a chess lesson at 9
did.
or
I told
whatever,
Jimmy.
and do whatever you want,
Everything
and I'll
is-
see you in the afternoon or
I'm
something.
just not good. I feel guilty.
Everything is very well scheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're very well scheduled.
You know what's happening when you go there. It's
Yeah.
almost on a list.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad Jimmy went. Now I have someone I can call to ask how the house looks.
When you straighten yourself out, you might get up.
Well, yeah, they don't want crazy drug people
Yeah,
knocking
yeah.
at the door.
What, me and 3 cops aren't fun to have over your house?
But so I always feel
We
like.
don't want Artie making an escape.
And then the other weird aspect is I'm hanging out with Jimmy, and where Jimmy and I were having a private conversation, and I even said to Beth, I'm going to ask Jimmy about Sarah. Did you hear my rap about this morning?
No, I couldn't get my series.
Dude, you
working
and
in the
fucking
car.
Sarah went through weird shit. Howard told us on the air. What the fuck, man?
I would never do
Thank
that.
God you got out of there.
With a midget? A midget?
It wasn't a midget. He was just short.
No, I said, Jimmy and I were talking, and I even said to Robin this morning, I said, I sat with Jimmy. We talked for a half hour, an hour privately about a bunch of things, but one of the things being what happened with Jimmy and Sarah. I need an explanation because I was close with Jimmy and Sarah as a couple. And I said to Robin, I have no idea what Jimmy's talking about.
He says,
It
first
was
of
an
all,
hour.
of course, it was not for the air, but in the same, he said he went to Beth and he couldn't tell her what you said.
Because immediately, after we had the conversation, Beth wanted to come down, but she saw we were talking privately.
Oh.
She said to me, okay, so what did Jimmy say about Sarah?
Right.
I said, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he said.
For Howard to listen to you, you have to work Howard into the conversation.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know what I said either. I mean, I don't
It was the
know.
lamest, most
He
mysterious.
said he's not sure you know why you broke
When a chick asks me what their day, if I want to hear what their day was like, I'm like, only if I'm in it.
I wish it could have been more interesting, but
No, it wasn't that it wasn't interesting. I just didn't understand.
He said you were saying things, but he couldn't understand what you were saying.
I don't understand what I'm saying most of the time either. So.
But maybe it wasn't not that interesting. Maybe it wasn't interesting.
And then also it's awkward because Jimmy says to me, look, this is private. So I said, okay, well, so what does that mean?
I can't
Well,
call
here's the problem.
Inquirer?
Here's the problem is that I know you would like me to talk to you about these things mostly because you're curious about this stuff, but I know that
Mostly because he's a yenta.
it's hard for you to remember what is okay to talk about and what isn't okay to talk about. So
Right.
for your own protection, I feel like
that was smart.
Maybe you didn't tell him anything.
Well, I didn't. I'm telling you.
I know I did. I told you
You did?
everything. I mean, I told you everything that was there. It's not that interesting.
It's
Sometimes
not. It was
people just
horribly
don't.
boring.
Something happens. I
Horribly
don't know what it
boring.
is.
It was terrible, actually.
It's unpleasant,
There was no good stories. I was.
there were
Nobody
no
had
events.
any great problems, like,
Was
they're
the sex
harboring.
good? The sex was good, right?
Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, for
you.
for me, yeah, it was. Yeah.
The sex was good.
You haven't checked with her?
I'm pretty. I think I could safely assume it wasn't that great for her.
But the public thing was.
Can I taste your juice?
The public thing was that she broke up with you, supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both times?
No, actually, I broke up the first time. She broke up the second time.
Ah, see, that's
Yeah.
something I didn't know.
Yeah.
No,
Who's going to break up the third time?
I don't think they're getting back together.
Is it over? Howard
we
said
had
he
the
could
rubber
get
match.
you. Howard said he could get
So,
you two back together
I can't.
if you just gave him a little time. Now you think you can't.
Well, he can't even listen to Jimmy talk about the problem.
He couldn't stay in the
No,
room.
I listened. I didn't understand it. I
You
didn't
know what?
want to
You should
keep...
interrogate her. That should be what you do because maybe you'll get more. Because
But alone, in a situation like that.
I'm not the kind of person that looks for reasons afterwards. It's if you don't like me, I don't like you, and that's
Well,
that.
then why did you break up with her?
Oh, I don't even know. I just felt just depressed and just felt like that was something that I felt like that was the reason why I was depressed, and then I became even more depressed
After you broke up.
after we broke up.
Right.
Yes,
You heard the music.
I know. What's the music? Fred, you kill it with the music.
He does. He does.
I could have. I was almost on the hook.
Yeah,
I almost started crying.
Wait, I missed it. What did you say?
I asked, so he broke up with Sarah the first time.
Yeah, so you're getting more out of him than I did.
You needed me
I told
there.
you that.
I know. I know.
Well, now that Howard's listening because it's on the air.
No, I listened. I really did listen.
And he
I
said
I could tell you everything he said
Wait a
because he
minute.
didn't say anything.
I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you what he just said.
Yeah.
So he was suffering a depression.
Right.
He decided it was the relationship that was depressing him.
He didn't tell me that.
He broke up, and then he got more depressed.
Do you
so
understand?
that's why he,
More or less.
Yeah.
More or less.
Do you understand how bad that sounds? Like men want to have the perfect woman, and in a sense, Sarah is beautiful, and she's funny,
Talented,
she's smart,
funny. Oh my
great
God.
conversationalist, and we still get bored. This is what happens.
It's not even bored, really. But you're right, though. Yeah, it is. It's troubling because you think, oh, if I can't stay in a relationship with this person for a long time,
Right, that's
Then
there
I
isn't
can't do
anyone.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
And that's what starts to depress you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's starting again right now.
Is it that you think the two of you are just not in love with each other anymore? Like the love left?
Well, they were
Yeah.
in love at your
Yeah.
wedding.
You guys were all over each other at the wedding.
Holy Christ, I had to make out with my shitty food.
I mean, you really were. And
But-
it was so I guess at some point the two of you just realized, like, yeah, we like each other, but we're not in love with each other.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She decided that.
Oh, she decided.
That was funny
You're
at the
in love-
wedding.
You're in love with her.
No, I'm not. I told you.
were.
Yes, but when it's over for me, it's
over. You close
Yeah.
the door.
I close the door.
Right.
So
But
because I
yet you
put my
open the
penis
door-
through the keyhole.
Yeah, but you opened the door.
If he opens the door, he'll be in love again.
You close the door. You close the door, but you open the door again.
Let's put it this way: when the door's closed on me, the door is closed.
Right.
Yeah, but
When I
Jim,
close the door.
Jim, for every door that closes, one opens.
You're right. You're right.
And the one you better
So
open
are
is
you,
the heroin
are you
door.
on a tear now?
Oh yeah, I'm on a real tear.
He's fucking all of Hollywood.
He's having sex with cousin Sal.
Let me tell you what I did last night. Here's
He's
what
having
my tear.
homosexual incest.
I went to dinner with my friends Alex and Martha Wallow, who listen to the show,
Right.
and had a huge steak, and then almost was pretending to make conversation outside the restaurant where I was almost certain I was going to shit my pants. And then I got in the cab and desperately tried not to shit my pants, and then thought it might be funnier for the show tomorrow if I did shit my pants.
Who cares about shitting in a cab? You've never done that?
You mean you had a big steak?
Yes,
And
and
it made
immediately
you-
it became
went through you.
an angry ball of shit. that
Jim,
wanted
you're
to
not a
come
New
out.
Yorker. Sometimes you shit in a cab just to make it smell better.
And then you wanted to take a shit. And
Yeah.
why didn't you do it at the restaurant? Or are you too embarrassed?
Oh no, not at
You
the
would
rest.
never
Plus,
should do.
everyone knows I come out sweating. I have to take off most of my clothes. So then I get upstairs, and I know this is going to happen because there's a nightmare happening. Is that my cousin Sal has the key to the room in his pocket, and there's no way he's just flipping the door open and letting me run right through. There's going
Did
to be.
you tell Sal you had a shit?
Oh, I told him I had to shit, and I realized that was a terrible
Wait
mistake.
a minute. You don't have your own room? You and Sal are in the same room?
Yes.
What the fuck are you talking about?
This is getting worse.
Sal's on the show. They didn't get him.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't fly him here.
They tell you can bring somebody out with you.
Jim, that is fucked. What are you doing?
Well, the truth is, I brought two people. I brought Jill Lederman, our producer, so she had a room, and then Sal and I stayed. We don't mind. We like staying in the same room.
Holy mackerel.
You really aren't in show business.
I guess not.
Really?
Jim, they used to get everybody at Mad TV their own room.
I'm not on Mad TV.
Yeah, well, actually, Nightline, they've got 4 people in a room there.
Martin
Courtney
Bashir
Thorne
has like
Smith.
17 people living in a room with him.
Hey, would you? So did he get the key open in time and you took the shit?
He did, but there was some torment time where he held the key up and showed it to me and waved it to me, and I was like, "Open that fucking door! Will you open that fucking door?"
Or you're fired.
We're gonna shit all over you.
Don't make me shit in Jim Belushi's room again.
That's right.
Would you have Sarah on as a guest on your show?
Not right now. I don't
Wow.
think. Eventually, maybe.
Wow.
Really? Is that
Wow.
is that interesting?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
interesting. Not
Yeah.
good enough.
We're just really
No,
booked
what are you
up.
talking about? Not good
No,
enough.
it's not
No,
good.
it's because
enough.
she's doing every other show. She's busy.
There's no openings at your show?
You know what? We've got a lot of bookings right now. And no, I don't know. I just think it might be
Awkward. But it'd be fun.
might be more unpleasant than it would be worse.
Sarah, there's a very funny stripper I met who's doing a set.
Why would it be unpleasant?
Well, why do you think?
Because but she was, listen, when you were going out with her,
yeah,
she was on the show like every week.
Well, not that much.
I
but
mean,
yeah.
a lot.
She was like your brother Theodore.
And now all of a sudden there's no presence of her like she was doing them.
Well,
I'm
it's not
fucking
like
Matt
people
Damon.
like, where is she? I mean, she was on maybe twice a year. I mean, it wasn't
Is that,
like
is that
she was-
true?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was more.
But she was
No.
on in the time that you two got back together.
Yes, she was.
Listen, I've been on 5 times, and twice when I was on, Sarah
was on.
Jimmy's going to hang out with us all morning. He's going to be here for a while. Ben Stiller is waiting in our green room.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, so what we'll do...
What he's saying is a bigger star has now...
No, Jimmy's hanging out being part of the show. He'll be here during the Ben Stiller
You can
interview.
sit there while Ben is...
If Ben Stiller's sitting here and Adam Sandler comes in, we'll have Sandler.
That's Jimmy's cousin, Sal.
Oh, this is the guy you spent the weekend with?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He's a nice guy. I was a little worried about him, but he's a nice guy.
Sounds very quiet. Yeah.
He's another Tom Cruise lover, this kid.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
What's going on? Now, do you have to leave?
I think I have to leave soon because I have to do Regis and Kelly.
You're doing Regis and Kelly.
Without Regis.
Sans Regis.
Yeah.
And Sal, you're going over there, too?
I'm going to head over there, yeah.
Well, all right.
He can stay if you want.
I understand your cousin Sam's here.
So am I saying goodbye to you? I don't want to hold you here.
I think we have to
All right.
leave, unfortunately. Sadly.
Sal, good seeing you.
Thank
It was
you.
nice spending time with you. Jimmy, I wish you continued success. I hope these upfronts, whatever they are, go well for you.
Now I feel weird about the next time. I feel weird about visiting you because I feel like...
You mean visiting him at home?
Yeah, because I feel like we
Just
always get
visit
the
me.
honest account, but then I feel like I'm making you uncomfortable when I'm at your house.
Not at all. I love being with you. We go away on vacation together. I mean, what's the matter with you?
Well, I don't, because you said then you feel like you have to entertain me. You don't have to entertain
Don't worry.
me.
I know.
I'm self-entertaining.
Believe me, and so am I.
Okay, good.
How dare you? Look, I don't know what's going on in your romantic life. I'm sorry
Is
you
he
and
dating? You didn't even find out for us.
I would never ask. I don't know
I'm
what
dating
he's doing.
Neil Patrick Harris.
You're not the type of guy that we're not going to open up the tabloids and see you're dating like every woman in Hollywood. Now that you're free of Sarah and you're a single
Definitely
guy.
not.
You're not. You're not going to womanize.
What are you going to do?
You know,
are
I'm
you
not
going
like
to
that.
a dating service? Are you? What are
Yeah,
you doing?
I'm on,
Millionaire matchmaker?
I'm on that Ashley Madison.
Well, he
You're
has
an
a
Ashley Madison. You only date married women.
Yes, I'm only fucking married women.
Well, Jimmy has a certain type. I think he's going to ask Elaine Boozler.
And so the dating will begin. The dating will commence as soon as you get over Sarah.
Theoretically, yes. I guess so. Yes.
Excellent. We can't wait for that. Who will it be? Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Well, who will the lucky lady
Will
be?
you be picking up women on the show? Will you do that? Lou?
No, I don't think so. I can't imagine that will happen.
Who are your guests for the rest of the week when you get back to L.A.? We'll pick out one
Well,
for you.
Ben Stiller.
right, you
I
can't go out
really
with
don't
him.
know who the guests are, to be honest with you.
Do you fantasize that you'll be with another famous woman? I mean, Sarah was famous.
Was that
certainly.
fun?
I've decided never, ever to go out with another famous person.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Unless they're really, really good looking.
Kathleen Turner.
Why?
Yeah. Maybe another
Because-
hot Jewish comedian like a Whoopi
There's
Goldberg.
nothing I hate more than being the subject of. I don't like being the subject of speculation. I don't like people being interested in my life like that.
But aren't
So you got into the right business.
But aren't
Yeah,
people
I know.
going to always be interested in your life?
Not nearly. It's exponential when it's two famous people. Nobody cares about who other, like nobody cares about who Conan is dating. Right?
Well, because Conan's married.
Yeah, but nobody cared beforehand. Nobody cares that he's married.
I
either.
think they would. Well, you're saying because she's not in the business,
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
Right.
Oh, I see. So when you're dating another famous
I'm gonna
person,
try to be more like Conan.
you're going to try and be like Conan O'Brien.
Yes.
That sounds like makes a lot of sense.
You better
to
get
me.
better writers.
But it is possible because you're in Hollywood and you meet the girls you meet are girls who come on your show who are in fact famous, and a lot of these. Actresses and stuff. I mean, it's hard to resist.
I say it's
You know
not
who I
hard for
see
them to
him with?
resist.
No.
I think you ought to fix him up with Renee Zellweger.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could have fucked her on the set of The Bachelor. I
Would
let
you
her
like
off
to
the
fuck
hook.
Renee Zellweger?
No, I know she's no. That's
Have
not.
you
I'm
met
not
her?
interested in that. I have met her.
You've had her on the show?
I think so.
Not attracted to Renee Zellweger?
It has nothing to do with it.
What would you never think about fucking her?
No,
really
I
don't?
wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm not interested.
If I was single, I would fuck Renee Zellweger. I would.
You could get her at Bridget Jones' Diary.
I told you I
do you
don't want to go out
fantasize-
with anyone famous.
But wait a second. You don't fantasize like maybe a night with Carmen Electra or nothing like that?
That's not my thing.
What do you mean, not your thing?
Well, wait a minute. What about some supermodel?
Explain
No.
that to me. What do you mean you can't take Carmen Electra?
I need. I think there has to be some depth there for me.
Oh, so supermodels are all stupid?
So Sarah was so deep.
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way. Sarah would never do this. Carmen Electra...
Look, I said Jimmy was deep.
Carmen Electra was once asked on a talk show, what's the one thing she couldn't live without? And after she thought for a minute, she said food. So, I don't think Sarah would ever do that.
That's a good answer.
But do you think that Sarah will date someone famous?
I don't know.
Does she need that?
No, I don't think so.
She doesn't need that. So, it'll be interesting to see what you end up doing. Sal, what do you think? Sal, you're married.
I'm married, yeah.
So, but
Jimmy
what do you
think? I wasn't supposed to say anything, but he's secretly dating a pizza chef, this guy Chris Bianco. I'm not even kidding. He flies him out. The guy stayed with him for like a week, and then there's another chef that comes in, Adam Perry Lang, and they cook, and that's his focus right now.
You love to cook, right? That's your thing.
I do, yeah. I love to eat.
You're a cook?
Yeah. I do. Yeah.
By the way, fucking a pizza chef where I'm from is not gay.
You should try eating food. It's delicious.
I'm going to do that when I do that.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. All right. So, and also, will you and Sarah become friends in the future where she will be able to come on the show?
No, we will not.
You will not become friends.
I don't know.
It's going to be a major showbiz feud that lasts centuries.
I agree with you. You're not going to become friends.
Listen, I got enough friends.
Right. You will not go the route of Johnny Carson and date some of the tea time players, or you will not.
Have the girls on your show. Hire
I don't
them
have
just
any
to date
tea time
them.
players.
You don't?
No, I don't. No, it's not my. You know me. It's not my
Look,
thing.
Howard, he was on the Man Show and never fucked one of the juggies.
Not only didn't
he was married.
Not only didn't I fuck any of them, I would hide in my room reading from them. I didn't want to be part of it.
Will Leno,
They don't want to read with you?
Let me before you leave, because I know you have to go. Will Leno's new show fail? I'm talking about this now. You're in the late night game. You spend a lot of time on your show, and I know you do a lot of hard work. And people should watch Jimmy's show. But will you take a look at Leno's new show? And you've probably given this some evaluation. You probably even have research on this. Don't you think, this is what I think, Leno made the biggest mistake of his career, not staying in late night television?
I think it would have been safer to go to ABC. Yeah, for him to go to ABC at 11:30. Yes.
But that would have been horrible for you. You wouldn't want him at 11:30.
Not necessarily, because it would be a better lead-in than Nightline, and perhaps there would have been other networks that were interested in me.
But you told me you would never follow Leno.
That's right. You said you were going to leave.
No, but I changed that eventually.
Oh, did you?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You thought it through.
Yeah.
You said, I'll go on at 12:30, Leno can go on at 11:30.
Yes.
You really would have gone ahead and done that? I don't believe you.
I honestly would have. Absolutely.
You would not have gone to another network? Let's say if...
I might. I mean, I would have considered
What if Fox
that.
needed a late night show?
I would have considered it, yes.
You would have?
Yes.
That would have been a good thing.
Yeah.
But now, Leno will die at 10 o'clock, won't he? It's the end. Do you ever envision a scenario where perhaps Leno could end up going back to the Tonight Show and they fire Conan? And then Conan, or whatever his name is, comes over to ABC.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about all of those things, but I could envision any of those things individually happening.
Well,
yes.
how do you feel
Yes.
that Leno's going to do?
Give us your prediction.
I don't. You know what? I don't think it's going to be successful. I'll be honest with you, and I don't think it has anything to do with Jay. I think it has all to do with the local affiliates and their news, where they make all their money. And if the lead-in is not as strong, they're going to scream and yell and demand something, and it's going to be a mess.
This Leno move could be the end of all television, is what you're saying. Right? This could actually end television as we think
Let's
about
hope
it.
so. We should start twittering more.
Will Jay take Stuttering John?
Yes, Jay will definitely take Stuttering John, and I believe that Jay has told Stuttering John, and Stuttering John just isn't saying because they want to keep it all a secret.
You think it's that big a deal? I mean, why can't John
they think it's that big a deal.
Really?
Do you think if Leno gets into real trouble, he'll divorce Mavis and date Sarah Silverman?
That would be a surprise.
She was lucky for you, maybe.
If Leno gets divorced, he'll try to steal Beth.
My prediction is Leno will do poorly. I believe it will not last long. I believe Conan might be moved out, but he will be tarnished. In other words, he will have failed.
You're saying Conan's not going to be successful?
I don't know, because if Jay isn't successful, Conan has to be more successful than Leno was.
And also now, if Jay doesn't do well, it hurts Conan's rating.
Right.
Aha. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying everyone's fucked?
Yeah.
Jay's going to screw up everybody.
You're not fucked. You're in the perfect position.
You're so not fucked. You're not dating anybody.
Yeah, but I'm flying like Coach. You know, I mean,
you're shitting in front
What
of
is
Sal.
it, Ralph? Quickly, because Jimmy Kimmel has to leave here. He has a very active.
This is never
life.
a good thing when Ralph calls. I know.
Well, Jimmy, I love you, but I don't understand.
That's great.
How come you're not out there getting laid and going crazy? And you know, like I know you're straight, and so like, why wouldn't you want to? Like, you want to have conversations or something? It sounds like.
Well, Ralph, I'm not. I'm not that type, right? I mean, I think you would have gathered that about me by now.
You're not a pig. You're not a sex maniac.
It's not like you got to go in and just pick up some floozy and every night, but like
Jimmy, you should be vomiting at Howard's house. You got to live it up.
I told Sal to vomit at your house.
Hey Ralph, what bits has Jimmy ripped off from Howard lately?
I've been ripping off Jimmy lately.
There you go.
Have you seen Stuttering Sal?
All right, Ralph. Jimmy,
but really, I mean,
you think Jimmy should be banging the hottest chicks in Hollywood?
Ralph, give me a little time. I need to.
Right.
Maybe you need Ralph to help you with that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ralph.
Jimmy's got a huge TV.
I do have the biggest TV in the world.
I haven't seen it. Tom Cruise and his mom out.
You're going to be.
Can you tell the story real quick of why, like, that thing that you did to Jeffrey Ross?
What?
You know what? I think we'll miss the Regis and Kelly show if we tell it, though.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
I told you about the prank he pulled on Jeff Ross, Sal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I told him we get a heads up ahead of time who's going to be voted off. So I texted Jeffrey Ross
on Dancing with the Stars.
On Dancing with the Stars. Sorry, I said you're safe, and he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure."
But Jeffrey was really into it and in love with this girl, and
then on the air, he was pretending to be nervous the whole show, like he didn't know he was going to. And then on the air, you see him when he gets eliminated. He goes, "We lost."
I had inside information. Oh, that's great. That's right, because you guys get tipped off who's going to be losing Dancing with the Stars.
Nobody thought we did.
Oh, he thought you did. I get it. All right. Thank you, Ralph. You're a fascinating phone call.
Sal was trying to kill the odds. You know, he was betting on Dancing with the Stars.
All right, listen, Jimmy, I'm not going to hold you any longer.
Thank you, Howard.
Jimmy Kimmel.
We had a beautiful weekend. Thank you very much.
I love you. It's always great seeing you. Yes, and anytime you're around, I want to be with you. And Sal, you too. You're always welcome. All right. The great Jimmy Kimmel and Sal, his cousin. Sal, what's your last name?
Do I have one? Icono.
You don't use that name?
No, I do. Yeah.
You switched it to Kimmel?
That's the way Opera Man says icon.
That's right. And so there it is.
You set the bar pretty high for Howard's house guest. You said you were such a good guest.
You know, I'm very. I was raised well. I clean up after myself. I keep quiet, and people seem to appreciate that. I think the great thing is Ralph really set the bar so low that
by puking everywhere.
Yeah, and I appreciate that he did that. I really do.
So you had a good time today?
Yeah, I had fun.
No, was it? It was a little awkward talking about your past
I know this is terrible.
relationship,
I have to get the fuck out of here. I'm not kidding. I really. They got a live TV show I'm gonna miss.
I really am. Nah, I kind of am. I'm kind of done. I mean, I love it here, and I love doing the radio show and all that stuff. But I think after a year and a half more worth of shows, it's time for me to sing my swan song. You know, and some things are starting to bother me, and I don't want it to get ugly.
Oh.
You know what I mean? There are things around here that are bothering me.
I see.
And I'm not the type that complains to people, so I just let it brew inside of me, and then I just leave. But I don't know. Stuff bothers me. Stuff bothers me all the time, but I don't know. It's enough already of me.
Well, David Hinckley just had to change his article.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know, it's like Jimmy said to me over the week. He goes, "You got to stay. You know, it's so great. The show's never been better. Blah 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 blah. You guys work so well together." I said, yeah. I said, we do. I said, we're good at this, but how much longer can you keep doing this thing?
Well, here's a rap that everybody gives me, and so I'll ask you now. You'll be fine doing nothing. Everyone says, can Howard, people go, Howard, I know his personality. I listen to him. He's a personality. Can he stay home and do nothing?
Well, he doesn't have to do nothing,
No, there are things I could do. I could straighten the pillows. I have to have a meeting. I have meetings about everything, I guess I am the, I am the leader of the show. So I meet about everything. My meeting today is with Gary, Laura, my assistant, and Tracy. Uh-huh. Because I got something set me off. Carol Leifer, who was our guest the other week, sent me a box of chocolate. So, I get a list of things that were sent in. So now probably that's a week old or something, or I don't know how many days old.
It came in last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday. So I got word today. So I got to put a system in place where somebody back there goes, oh, Carol Leifer was a guest. She sent Howard a personal note and a gift. It should go right over to Howard.
Right.
In other words, we're not going to go through the usual system of putting... If someone's got to be...
A week later, it'll show up at Howard's desk.
Somebody's got to be a little bit on top of that so that I can get and then I want to figure out how I can get a note to Carol Leifer real quick, a personal note. Like maybe I dictate it to either Tracy or Laura, and they, I don't know if any of them, Laura takes dictation. I can just go, hey, Carol, thanks so much. You were great. And then right away it gets acknowledged that we got her box of chocolates. Because that's really nice of her to do.
Doesn't fall into the black hole of, wow, I wonder if my gift got there.
Yeah. So then I called Laura last night. I said, how do we get this done? I said, let's have a conference call. Because if I don't conduct it, it'll never get done because no one takes it seriously.
Well, we would take that. See, we would take that seriously without you.
Gary,
really
how many years we've been doing this? 20-something years.
Right, but we have
nobody can figure out that, like, when Carol Leifer sends something, that I should know about it pretty quickly. I mean, who wants a box of chocolates sitting around for a week anyway?
It wasn't a week, Howard. It hasn't been a week. You knew yesterday. It got here late Wednesday afternoon, and you knew yesterday. That is some time, but it's not a week.
I don't know. And then, like, it's sitting in your office, and like, who opens the mail? You?
No, Tracy opens the mail.
Right.
She logs
Tracy says you get the box of chocolates.
No, that's not true.
That's what she said.
Tracy opens up all the mail.
Yeah.
She logs it in. So it's, Carol Leifer sent this, right. And then everything comes through me just so I could see it because some things I put in your bag that day.
Right.
Some things I just need to know that you're getting, even if you don't take them. I need to know that somebody sent you a screener, whether you saw it or not.
Okay.
I need to know that a book came, so when they call, I can say, yeah, we saw the book.
See, I know I'm going to have a meeting today, and I'm never going to get to the bottom of this. I'm
already zoning out. Having the meeting, yeah.
I'm already zoning out. Like Gary,
we're in the meeting.
Like Gary's explaining it to me, and I just go, can't you just get this done?
It's like Jimmy talking about his breakup with Sarah.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's like I just go, I don't know how to get it done, but you get it done.
But you get a list every day. I guess you just didn't see it quick enough.
No, but we get the list. By the time the list gets to me, and the time I get to read it, it's 5 days old.
Howard, I'm your man. Let me open all the mail.
You have the meeting,
and I'll log it in.
Yeah.
No, what you're saying is certain things should get personal attention. Like they shouldn't go through the system. You should just be expedited to you that Carol Leifer sent.
Right, but you can't.
And then something should be triggered to say, Howard, you dictate this thank you note to Carol Leifer, and it'll be sent right out.
Right.
We have the address.
There's certain, when you get them, these things need to be taken care of right away.
Like I noticed Letterman's got a system in place. Whenever I do anything for Letterman, there's a note that comes. It's typed, and it's like, Dave from the desk of David Letterman, and it goes like, hey, Howard, it was really good seeing you. Let's get together sometime, blah, 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 David Letterman.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell, like, he must, I don't even know that he writes it because it's typed. I don't even know that it's his thoughts. It seems like it's someone else is doing it for him.
Right.
But that's cool. I want that system. But I know I'm going to get on the phone today and be aggravated that I even have to take time to come up with a system. Like, I shouldn't have to.
Would you believe me if I told you we will handle it? You wouldn't.
I would. How are you going to do it? Let me hear it.
Well, listen, this is the first you brought it up that you want something that quick. Because usually
wouldn't it be cool, like, if I said to Carol Leifer, hey, that was really nice of you to send something. It was totally unnecessary, but, man, you're the greatest, and, the
hardest part of the system is deciding who fits the bill.
Right.
Like, in other words, if Mark Harris sends you something, does that fit the bill?
You answer the question. You answer your own question.
Probably not.
Okay.
But
so
I never know with you.
You think I'm talking about Mark Harris?
No, but I never know with you because sometimes you go.
You don't know the difference between Mark Harris and Carol Leifer?
I know the difference between them. But,
I don't.
But sometimes.
Yes, you do.
No, sometimes to you.
All right, name a name that you think you can't tell what to do. And then
Mark Harris must have been a bad example.
Right. If that's the example.
Beetlejuice send something, Gower.
I got to look at the schedule for the last couple of weeks.
All right.
No, that doesn't work. I was going to say D. Snyder.
All right. D. Snyder sends me something. What do you think is the answer?
You probably should know.
That's right.
Craig Gass.
What do you think?
You probably don't need to know.
Right.
You know already. You know. Now it's getting embarrassing.
Wait, this is an embarrassing game, isn't it?
Well, I didn't want to have the meeting off the air, but this is what happened.
This is getting embarrassing.
Oh, my God.
Go ahead.
Craig Gass is on top of the Chrysler
Craig Gass
building.
would send me something. It would be in the list, and then I could respond to it.
First of all, I know Craig Gass. He ain't sending you something.
You don't need to know immediately.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't need to know
Well,
that
he
day.
was just about to. Now he just put it down.
See,
Right. So, like Jimmy Kimmel, obviously, yes.
right, and then I want someone to say to me, "Okay, do you have a note you want us to send Jimmy?" And I'll just say, "Here's."
All right, here's a better example. Lisa Lampanelli was here the other day.
Good.
And she handed you, while you were in here, she said, here's an autographed DVD and CD. I'd love, for you to watch. But it's in her mind, it's a gift.
Okay. What do you think the answer is on that one?
Probably not.
Right.
See, you already know.
You know the answer to this.
Yeah, but Robin, here's the point, and you know this because you've seen me for 25 years. I know till I don't know. And then when I don't know, I'm the biggest dick in the world.
Even if you get it 99% of the time right,
meaningless.
You're helping me.
Fucking
You're helping me.
No, because 1% will be the first 3 hours of the show.
Right, Gary's got a point.
No, listen, okay.
Be honest.
Lisa Lampanelli is a great girl, but she gives me a DVD.
Okay.
I'm talking about.
Okay, Lisa Rinna.
Go ahead.
Send you her book.
Go ahead.
Hey, Howard, it's with a note. Howard, you're great. I think she sent the note something like, I couldn't wait for you to have this book. I think you're going to love it.
Okay.
Is that a gift or a promotional item?
What's your answer? What do you think?
I think it's a promotional item, but she sees it as a gift.
We know that. And you'll put that on the list, and if I want to write to Lisa Rinna, I'll write to Lisa Rinna.
Even though she sent you a personal note?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I'll read the personal note, and I'll figure out what to do.
But does anybody in here understand that Howard might go, Gary, Lisa Rinna sent me a fucking personal note.
Gary, you got
Well, I'll
it
tell you
right.
when it'll happen. If Lisa Rinna calls and said, "Did you ever get my book?"
Right,
Gary,
exactly.
You just got it 100% right. Every example you gave, you knew the answer to.
But Robin hit it right.
Now, Gary, I'll give you an example.
But he also threw 95 great pitches out of 100.
Lisa Rinna comes in here,
and
she sends me a radio, an antique radio.
That's a yes.
Ah.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
I go. Fran Drescher used to come in all the time. And
Go
then
ahead.
after she came in, I'm going to send you a gift. And she would send you those fucking croutons.
The pasta and the croutons.
Right.
It's a gift. Howard, I am sending you croutons because you're a good guy.
Okay. What do you think?
I think no.
Exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking
I'm
about.
sending you croutons.
She's sending me the croutons, so I'll talk about them on the air. But, okay, Fran Drescher comes in, and she's on the air talking about she just bought a Kindle, and she thinks it's the greatest thing. So then you get a personal note in the mail from Fran Drescher, and it says, Howard, I love being on the show. I want you to try a Kindle. I went out and got you one.
That's a yes. That's a resounding yes. Here's
so
one.
There you go.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is a tough one, but
go ahead.
Remember,
I bet you it's not tough.
Okay, remember the comedian Bobby Slayton?
I remember Bobby.
Bobby's wife owns a kids' clothing store.
Right.
Right. He sends you a box of clothes for your kids.
Go ahead.
So the answer.
What do you think?
Well, now it's tough.
Tell me what you think.
The answer is it's a yes, gift wise, but does Bobby make the cut celebrity wise?
Now think about it. He's promoting his wife's clothing line.
But it's still a big
do you
box.
think there's a real rush for me to get to Bobby Slayton on that one?
Yeah, but I'm sure your daughter's favorite designer is Norma Slayton.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Gary. What do you think? That can wait.
Teddy Slayton.
In other words, I'll get a note out to the guy, but, you know.
All right, but that's a tough one because he is a celebrity and it was a box of clothes.
Right.
You know what?
That box of clothes is going to end up in the garbage.
Let me tell you something. There's two things
I'm
that
going
are
to give it
iffy.
to charity, which is 99% of what I do around
So
here.
I'm gauging the level of the celebrity and the quality of the gift.
The only one you got wrong so far is Carol Leifer's chocolates. That's it.
Which started this.
The real one.
There's
Yeah,
two
the real
things.
one.
There's two things that are iffy: whether or not Bobby's a celebrity and whether or not those are clothes.
Right.
Gary, you missed one very important aspect. If Howard was single, you give him anything Lisa Rinna said.
Right.
Right.
Tracy.
Oh, when I was single, it was terrible.
I
Gary
can imagine.
and I had meetings about that. It was
that
so
was
embarrassing.
so uncomfortable, Howard.
Really?
When I was single and there was a hot chick on the show and I wanted to go out with her, I would somehow say on the air, "Hey, yeah, you know, you should get me your number." And then
that's a
Gary,
good code.
Then Gary would walk in, and I go, "Gary, did you get the number from her?" And he goes, "You want me to get the number?"
I missed the signal on one very important person.
Yeah, I missed a lot of signals.
And Howard goes, because I remember Howard goes, "You got the number?" And I go, "You were serious? Because what the fuck is wrong with you?"
but get the number is like if Joe Girardi's steal sign was, look, steal.
I felt bad, too.
But Artie, you go in the green room and get a fucking number from somebody.
No, look, listen, Teddy tried it for me a couple of times.
It's embarrassing.
But Howard, can I ask you a question?
And the problem is, nobody's going to say no to giving you the number.
Well, first of all, they're giving me the number, so that's already creepy.
Yeah.
But
they're giving you the number.
Say no. You don't know whether they really, you don't know whether you're forcing these people to give you a number or not.
I was too busy or lazy to date, so it was a perfect dating opportunity.
Absolutely.
If I
you
could
took full advantage.
If I could do everything on the air, I was fine. It was like, wow, this is cool. I'm on the air. I met a nice, attractive girl. She said something about her phone number on the air. After I badgered her.
I have a phone number.
Yeah, okay. Gary, did you get that?
I have a phone, Howard.
Do you own a phone, or are you a heroin addict whose mother took away their phone?
Gary, well, you don't want my number.
Right.
But, Howard, let me ask you a question, because I think the fans are interested in this.
Yes.
In that crazy time you said you had, sort of womanizing,
Yeah.
how many girls that were on this show did you bang?
I don't know.
That you met on the show?
Not a lot.
Okay.
Like maybe...
Under 5?
Yes.
All right.
Right, Gare?
I got 3 in my head right now. I'm telling you right now. And I got one in my head that you don't even know that I know.
Let's double that number then.
All right.
It's like a drink.
It's like a chick telling you her weight.
I don't think there was a lot, honestly.
Gary, I'm talking about that he met for the first time on the show.
Well, there's one that jumps to mind for sure.
There were a couple I'm thinking of I was working, but I never even got around to. Either they just didn't like me that way.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, maybe you might be right. But there are 3 that I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I'm not thinking that hard.
I wonder what 3 you're thinking of. Because you should write them down.
2 for sure.
Write them down and hand them to me. I'll give them to Howard.
Yeah, don't even write it down. You know what? That's water under the bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're married. You're got
Why
married.
go back there?
I'm happy. I do have a great wife. It was great last night.
We love her.
We watched it. You do?
We
do people generally
He's
like her,
acting
or
like
are they
he's in the
afraid?
marriage,
No,
too.
you know what?
Do you think there's anyone afraid to say they don't love her?
No. Here's the
Besides
deal.
Sal?
But he's acting like he's in the marriage, too. We love him.
But in a way,
he is in the
hold
marriage.
on, in a way, I am, and I'm going to tell you why, Robin.
Really?
I'll tell you why I'm in the marriage in a strange way.
He is.
I have a friend who worked for a big celebrity for a long period of time, and then that celebrity got divorced, and his life was miserable.
Okay.
Because that celebrity was miserable.
Okay.
And his life was miserable. So
I
if
see.
Howard were not happy,
You're
we would all be
miserable.
fucking unhappy. So the fact that he's happy, I'm in a great marriage.
So, Gary, Howard's pretty upset that it took so long for him to get the package, I guess, from Carol Leifer. And he wants to implement, like, a new system. Have you figured out what you're going to do exactly?
Yeah, Tracy and I spoke about it. The truth is there is a system in place. An email is sent to Laura every day telling her what came in the mail that day. So I guess it's my job to point it out more than Laura's job to point it out. But, I mean, he gets a list every day. He just doesn't look at it every day. So I guess they just want us to expedite it and say, hey, you should notice that Carol Leifer, but not Craig Gass, Jimmy Kimmel, but not Mark Harris, sent you an important package.
So you're saying that if he would have looked at it earlier, he would have seen it? It was definitely
Right,
on the
he would
list?
have looked at it, he would have seen it, but he's saying, I don't get to look at it every day. He's saying, I'm telling you, I don't look at it every day, so give me a bigger heads up. It's more of a discussion. I don't think he was, he's not necessarily angry. It's just, sort of putting it all together. But it's done.
I'm Jesse James. I'm here to do the Howard Stern Show, and pretty excited. Been a Howard Stern fan since like the late 80s.
Alright, so you're a big fan?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
so, well, I was a bodyguard and spent a lot of time in New York, and I think Rick Rubin turned me onto it. He had like cassette tapes of like when Howard, of the old show, when he got like booted off, and like wore him out on tour buses listening to him, so it's
Nice,
pretty
man.
cool.
So this is a pretty big occasion for you then.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous. It's actually, I usually just breeze through this stuff because most people that interview me are dipshits and like I just talk smack to them. But this one, I'm like, fuck.
All right, Jesse James also was on Celebrity Apprentice, used to be a real badass.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I've been reading about this guy,
Like
Jesse
how
James.
badass?
He was a real badass. Hey, Jesse, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, nice to meet you. Pleasure.
That's a badass?
He's a badass.
He's a badass.
Jesse James is a badass.
Yeah, you fuck with him, Robin.
Yeah, fuck with him and see how far you
Hi,
get.
Robin.
Yeah.
Hi there, how are you?
Robin wore extra cleavage for you.
Trying to steal you away.
Hey, can I tell you why I was laughing when I brought him in? Tim came to the green room. Tim never says hello to the guys. Tim came to the green room, and he just goes, dude, you're my idol. And he just started talking like how much he loves Jesse James and how Jesse's his idol.
Why is Jesse James Tim Sabian's idol? Like, I could see why.
As we were walking in, Tim was just like reeling off stuff, and he goes, that bike you made in Afghanistan?
Tim, what do you know about bikes? I mean,
he's a biker. Well, I've had bikes all my life as a kid,
I
Harleys and all that kind of thing. And
you can see by him he's a biker.
You can tell.
Yeah, right. I'm bad, But the
you
stuff
have
that he
socks
built
on with your loafers.
No,
yeah, Jesse. He's a skinny, fruity executive.
Exactly right. But he
Sneaks
just
in man
builds the
first.
coolest bikes. I mean, if you saw his stuff, it's just absolutely amazing what you do. So it's an art. He's
one of your heroes.
Oh,
Okay,
he's
right.
one of the greatest bike builders ever.
You know,
ever,
Tim
in
was
car builders.
Tim was a Mongol. I don't know if you know that. Honorary Mongol.
Card carrying.
Card carrying.
Actually, I think Tim was in the Chingaling.
Jesse, nice to have you on the show. Now, how did you get to be? Where'd you grow up?
In California, Long Beach.
And were you a kid who was always into building cars and motorcycles? Were you just one of those kids who were just freaky into that stuff?
Yeah, my dad was like a antique dealer, and I never had any money, and I wanted cool stuff, and I had to learn how to get it myself or make it.
Wow.
But you were one of those kids that you didn't go to college or anything, right?
I went to college for 2 years and played football.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
But then weren't you a Hell's Angel for a while? You were part of the motorcycle club? You were never a Hell's Angel?
No, I was a bodyguard for like 7 years. Actually, I have to tell you right now, like, this is, to me, I feel like I finally made it. If I could do your show. I've done like 60 Minutes and everything else, but just to be sitting here, it's like, whoa, man.
Oh, that's
we're on the Howard Stern show.
I love that. I actually met your wife, Sandra Bullock, on her movie set one time.
Yeah.
Attractive woman.
Yeah,
Not a
she
bad
told me
deal.
she called you up one time and gave you some shit for a long time ago.
Did she?
Yeah, we talked to her on the phone once.
Yeah.
She called from the set, yeah.
Why'd she give me shit?
She's German.
And you were goofing on her, so she called from the set.
Right.
Oh, she gave it to me. She put me in my place.
Yeah.
Amazing how easily I cave
No, but
in.
I was a bodyguard and spent a lot of time. The first person I ever worked for was Rick Rubin, and he had these like cassette tapes of your show from like the 80s, and this was in the late 80s, and we used to have them on tour buses and listen to
that's
them.
cool.
And it was like, being from LA and California, radio's pretty generic, but hearing like this dude that got kicked off for
dirty words.
Yeah.
Did you so you go to college for 2 years, you play football, you get out of there, and you're trying to figure out how to make it as a young man, and you become a bodyguard. Is that the way it goes?
Well, I did security all through high school. I used to work at a racetrack called Ascot.
Right.
And then on the weekends, I worked at Golden Apple Comics up in Melrose, and I did security for Bill Leibowitz.
But then you get into guarding like some famous people. You were Madonna's bodyguard for a while.
Yeah,
right?
Rick Rubin offered me a job, not as a bodyguard, but doing special projects.
What does that mean?
Collecting money.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
then,
right?
What was he doing?
Yeah, what was he up to?
Just producing, doing Deaf American Records, and then pretty soon they asked me to go on tour because promoters weren't paying and people were ripping them off. And then,
wow,
it was in the late '80s when violent metal started getting really big and kids were getting really hurt at shows, and so they kind of wanted me to come in and.
So that's how you made your living? You were the guy.
Yeah, I did.
You were the collector.
And then I traveled all around the world, and like in 5 years, about 10 times, and the whole time on the road, all I was doing was going to motorcycle shops and buying parts, and that was kind of what I did. When I was off the road, I'd work on my bike in my mom's garage, and I finally just got tired of it.
Did you ever have to beat the shit out of people when you were a bodyguard?
No, I'm a non-violent person.
No, come on. You're a violent guy, right?
Well, back in the late 80s, early 90s, you could still, duke it out, and it was like mutual combat. Nobody sued each other. So.
Did you ever have to go to jail or anything?
No.
Never. You had to think about it. That's funny. I do.
Yeah, what could you mistake for jail in that thought?
Yeah, right. Because you said on Celebrity Apprentice that one of the reasons you wanted to do it was because you wanted to apologize to figure skater Scott Hamilton because when you were a young man, you stole his car.
Yeah.
Right? So that was a big thing for you.
Well,
so
they begged me to do the show, the producers and casting people, for like 2 years.
Right.
And I mean, I'm never going to do that show. I'm too busy, and it's just not me. But they said, we have Scott Hamilton. I said, okay, I'll do it.
Right, because you wanted to apologize to him.
Yeah, and I figured I would. I always felt bad because he's a little skater dude.
How did you come to steal Scott Hamilton's car? Was that your line of work for a while? Were you a car thief?
Well, I was kind of like a crab trying to get out of a barrel. When I was a kid, my parents let me fend for myself. And
how old were you when you were on your own?
I moved out when I was 15.
No kidding. Where was your dad and mom? I mean, what was their story?
They kind of split up when I was 5, and they're kind of that beatnik generation where, kids are a drag, and
yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so I mean, honestly, I did a lot of stuff that I'm not really proud of.
How old were you when you stole Scott Hamilton's car?
I was 17.
Yeah.
You know, and that was, I only did it because I had parts off of it sold, and I was looking for one, and someone knew of one that was at Ice Capades in San Diego, and so.
Where do you move when you're 15? When your parents basically throw you out of the house, where do you move to? I mean, how do you make? I mean, at 15, I couldn't even wipe my ass.
I moved in with my girlfriend and her mom.
Oh, they let you in.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
And her mom was like, pretty amazing lady that
That's amazing.
She was the first time that I ever had someone tell me, look, hey, you need to get your shit together. You're going to live in my house. You're not going to screw around. And
you were allowed to live in your girlfriend's house? Were you allowed to sleep in the same room with her and bang her?
No, they had a guest house. They let me in, and she also had a boyfriend. The mom had a boyfriend that lived there. So
how cool is that? That some woman would take you in just because you're with? Probably, I mean, that's unbelievable.
But how do you get into the house? Because he's banging the girlfriend in the house.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the mom's got it. You were banging your girlfriend.
It was high school. I was 15.
You were banging your girlfriend at that time, right? So she'd sneak into the guest house.
No,
that would never go.
Nothing like that.
You were listen. You didn't want to jeopardize the one place you could live.
Yeah, and it was one of those situations. If you look at it on the outside, it's like, wow, yeah, you're so lucky. But her mom was actually no BS and kind of like.
But they had a guest house. I mean, that's a wealthy
nice,
chick.
Yeah.
Well, it was not even. It was like a little house on their garage. A little one bedroom that was like 10 feet wide. And
Have you always been great with women? I mean, you were voted the 50 sexiest men in America. I know you were married to the beautiful, stunning, who I wish I could have had sex with, Janine Lindemuller for a while, the famous porn star. Did you get attracted to her from our show since you were a fan? I mean, had you heard her on our show?
No, I never really. I met her through a friend and didn't really. I never really saw her on this show,
I see. Because to me, she's one of the sexiest broads on the planet. I mean, I know you're divorced now and you're married to Sandra Bullock.
But beautiful, right?
But fucking beautiful girl, and must have been a monster in bed. And I know she's into chicks, so she was probably bringing you chicks, right?
Sometimes things aren't what they seem.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you gonna ruin the fantasy?
No, I won't ruin the fantasy.
Is that right? It wasn't. In other words, the fantasy I have of Janine is not only she's beautiful, no question, but the fantasy I always had was, okay, she's into girls. I know she brings girls home, and I figured you were having the time of your life. Like, I would have sat there and said, oh, my God, if I could be him, if I could just, be married to Janine, it'd be unbelievable the fun I'd be having.
Yeah, but then, real life and reality kicks in. And, I think it's
not as sexual, you're saying, as you think it would be?
I look at the situation now. I think I got in that relationship. I was married for 10 years.
Right.
And got out of that, and that was the first serious relationship I got into after being married for 10 years. And I think I more got into that relationship for everybody else.
Because
so guys like you would think I was cool.
So exactly, that's true. That can happen. You're like, hey, I'm
check this out.
You almost
everybody expects me to be having this life,
and
even though you think something is wrong with the relationship, you go, it can't be anything wrong because everyone's jealous of me.
Everything's really, really great and awesome and amazing while things are good.
Right.
But when it starts to spiral out of control, so much so that I feel like I'm losing it and going crazy, then it's one of it was. I think my basic synopsis of the situation, was amazing. I fell head over heels for this amazing, beautiful woman.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it started going bad and ended like nuclear warfare. And and at the end of the day, we have this amazing daughter.
But what could have gone so bad?
You know what? I don't really want to say anything bad about her. She's in jail.
I know. Did you hear when she called in? She called our show.
Hey, if she's right here, by all means, I'll talk right to her face.
Right.
But,
yeah, it was pretty bitter. Like, she didn't say anything bad about you. She was grateful that you're going to watch her, your daughter together, that you had together. So she's pretty thrilled about that because Janine's in jail for tax evasion.
Yeah.
Did you get caught up in that at all? I mean, the whole tax evasion thing?
A little bit.
You must have been thrilled with that.
Well, yeah, it's good when the IRS gets pointed in your direction for no reason.
Yeah, it's great. Huh?
Yeah, you know what? But the whole situation, it's like, hopefully, I hope when she goes through all this stuff, and she's pretty much hit rock bottom, that she I know there's a really great person and mom in there somewhere. It's just got to come out.
Yeah, it's weird though. Was it weird for you being married to a porn star for a while? Like, I mean, is it that like guys think that they can have their way with your wife, and
I think it she'd been retired for like 5 years,
right?
And so it wasn't really like on the tip of your tongue. It wasn't like she's a current huge star. It was like over in the past, and she was changing. But then, I think it's harder for her to be in that kind of spotlight.
Would you recommend that a guy marry a porn star, or do you think that they have too many problems that it's just too much of a thing to overcome?
Just buy the DVD.
Just buy the DVD. Yeah,
Don't even go there. Just buy the DVD.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better to beat off.
Yeah.
Was it hard for your current wife, Sandra, to get over the fact that you were married to a porn star? Did that almost destroy your new relationship in the sense that she couldn't take you seriously because you had been married to a porn star?
Well, I've been 100% honest with her and upfront about everything. Like right from the get-go, where like some of the things I had to tell her at the beginning of our relationship.
Right.
Like, hey, I was with a porn star. Hey, we're having a kid.
Right.
And all this stuff. And like several points, I expected her just to turn around and run.
Yeah, because that's right. Your wife, your porn star wife, was pregnant when you met Sandra, right? And it was like your marriage was ending. So that's a tough situation. Taking up with a guy who's just ending a marriage.
We were already apart like 7 months before that. And finding out like when she was like 6 months pregnant, it's like, guess what? And I'm like, bullshit, like.
But that could almost destroy a relationship, especially with Sandra Bullock.
It's been really hard, but it's a testament to what an amazing woman Sandy is,
Well,
Absolutely.
How do you meet Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, that's cool because I tell you something. I met Sandra Bullock for 2 seconds. This is before you, and I was thinking maybe if she comes on to me, that'd be a pretty good hookup.
Sure.
I mean, wow.
She's she's married to me, so it's got to give guys like you hope, because I'm just a knucklehead like you.
Yeah, I'm probably a bigger knucklehead than you. You at least can build a motorcycle. What do I do?
But how do you meet her?
Yeah,
I mean, how do you and what happens? How do you get to date Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, that's good. Tell the guys in my audience so they can meet like a Sandra Bullock.
So went through nuclear warfare.
In your marriage.
And like swore that, okay, I'm just going to be this 50-year-old single guy.
Right.
I'm done. 2 marriages, I'm done. I'm not getting married a third time.
Yeah, after 2 marriages, you start to say it's not working.
And I was like, that's it. And a couple months had passed, and she contacted my office and wanted to bring her godson for a tour of the shop because he was a big fan of Monster Garage and West Coast Choppers and stuff like that. And I kind of, okay, cool, whatever. I kind of automatically figured she's probably a bitch. Fancy Hollywood chick, and and she brought him, and I talked to her for like 5 minutes, and it was like, never in a million years would she be any kind of I mean, she's amazing and beautiful, but I would never like go for that type of girl. I've always, kind of
wilder chicks.
Blondes with big boobs.
Right, yeah.
I'll take that one.
Yeah,
I've never put any thought to any woman I've been with other than superficial features, and I never ever like thought, hey, that looks like someone good I could spend time with, but this, I like something triggered in my head, and I was like, wow, that's, she's smart, and she looks you in the eye when she talks to you, and she ain't
bad looking.
Yeah. you know, and so I kind of contacted her assistant, said, "Hey, I want to ask her out."
Wow,
take
you're
some balls.
ballsy.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know where that came from, but then I asked her out, and she said no.
She said no. Not interested. Why? Because do you think because, hey, you know, you're some like motorcycle dude, and you're also getting out of a marriage with a porn star and all that other stuff?
Well, I don't think she knew that much about me,
Right.
and you know, just
why do you think she said no?
Probably because she's smart.
But did she? So when I get a no, that's no. I'm like,
You
I
don't
give
go
up.
back again. How does it wind up being a date? How did you kept going back?
Hey, you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, huh?
So I you know, we kind of emailed back and forth for a couple months, and it was.
Well, wait a second. She says no.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you start emailing back and forth?
I had her email address that she gave me, and we just started going back and forth, and it was the first time ever in any relationship that I ever have been in that was like a courtship.
Right.
And I really got to know her, and she got to know me because she automatically thought I was like a bigot and a racist, and like, you know. And
why? Because you're into bikes?
Well, just, I mean, you look at me, you know.
I kind of thought
I
that
look
when you
like
were
Daniel Carver's
Yeah, I
kid.
thought maybe you come in here and say the N-word or something. I don't know.
No, but I
All
grew up, you know, I grew up in Long Beach and was born in Linwood, you know, an all-black neighborhood, and like, you know, I thought my name was Wedo when I was a kid because all the Mexicans used to call me that, and like.
So you didn't have any real racial bias. In other words, you might fit in with some of her Hollywood-type friends, it turns out.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Right. So you're writing, emailing back and forth, so how did she finally give in?
Yeah, and we just eventually went out to dinner, and like, it was a great time, and, you know, she kind of asked me, like, you know, when do you want to go out again? I said, tomorrow.
Well, that's the move. Yeah.
And
now, the whole time you were emailing her, you didn't see any other chicks or anything? Like you were really that focused, or you were going out with girls?
No.
No one. You went without.
Kind of swore it off.
How long did you go without? Let's call it something nice. Pussy. How long did you go without it? How long were you free of sex?
Probably about 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Wow. How did you last?
No.
Really, how long? Like months?
Yeah, it was a couple months, probably.
So you were focused on Sandra.
Oh, I think you know, it was just, I don't know, it was awesome.
Wow.
You know, it's awesome to, like, you know, I've always put hard work first in every aspect of my life to be successful in business and TV shows and all that stuff. And I've never put hard work in a relationship, like never ever like applied my work ethic to making a relationship work. And like, you know, I guess you have to listen to chicks. It's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, when they talk, you have to like look at them and listen. And like,
yeah, how do you learn that stuff?
Yeah.
Nobody teaches you.
And then when they ask you, like when a woman asks you, "Hey, you want to go look at furniture and go to the gardening store today?" You got to go, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, like you got to, in other words, sometimes be interested in what they're in, even though you don't necessarily care about it that much. So that first,
and you have to talk to them.
Yeah, I know that's the drag. No, but in all seriousness, the first dinner, did you get to kiss her?
No.
You did not. How long before you get to actually kiss her?
I think it was on like the second date.
Second date.
And she kissed me.
No kidding. Yeah,
So she took charge.
Yeah.
She just started doing.
Kind of caught me off guard too.
Yeah, I know you're probably thinking in the back of your mind, gee, she's been in all these movies with like all these really good-looking Hollywood actors and stuff. There's no way she's going to fall for me, right? There's just no way. I would be so goddamn insecure. I mean, she's been around every good-looking dude on the planet. I don't even know who she dated.
None of those dudes can weld.
That's true. You're real, you know what? Stick them on an island. Could they build transportation? No way.
She'd better stick with you.
They can't fix the microwave like I can when it breaks.
You actually are a man. You're a real man, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, compared to a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
They're very twinky, some of those guys. So did she lay down any rules? When you start to get in a relationship with her, she's got publicists, she's got all kinds of things. She's a super famous actress making $17 million a film. It's almost like Pretty Woman in reverse. You've got to get the rules read to you, right?
You know, I think there's a certain level of respect that you don't have, you know, if you love someone and respect them, you don't have to lay down rules, you know.
First time you make love to her, you're like, oh, my God, I'm with Sandra Bullock. That's what I'd be. I don't even know if I could function.
How long does that take?
Were you, like, just freaked out?
I'm not talking about that.
Come on.
You guys got enough.
Seriously, she's the best lover of your life?
Absolutely, hands down.
Look at this.
Yep.
Keeps it real, huh?
Yep.
And you've been with some people.
You've been around. Not
Did
really.
her people try to break you guys up at all at first?
Well, all of her friends, absolutely, like 100%, like no way, we're putting a stop to this. This is no good. And
Even
then,
I was going to call her and put a stop to it.
Really?
I said, what are you doing, honey? No, I don't know her. I had no idea what was going on. I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? It must be a great life. What do you guys do all day anyway?
Well,
you're working all the time, right?
Yeah, both of us work, and we surprisingly live a normal life. We just,
got a big house?
Not big.
But how do they do the finances? Because she
makes
has
a ton of
everything.
dough. I mean, you make a great living, but the fact of the matter is, she's got a ton of dough. What do? You keep it separate, or you have a joint fund?
Everything's totally separate.
I mean, that's got to be complicated. I mean,
Yeah.
so the electric bill comes into the house. What do you do?
Who gets it?
Does the bill go to you? Does it go to her?
We flip a coin.
No, I'm being serious. How do you work that out? I mean, at some point in a relationship, how do you work that out?
Howard's all worried about the financial
but
stuff,
in
like
a way,
a Jewish stereotype playing itself out. I need the accounting. Let's see it.
No, but Jesse, in a sense, it's true. You're the guy. You're supposed to handle all that stuff, but she's sitting there making 17 mil a film. I mean, it's kind of silly for you to have to pay that stuff. If I may be your lawyer, I mean, you know what I mean?
But it's got a pen and paper.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do when the bills come in?
Well, I pay my bills. She pays hers.
And then what about the joint bills? What about the electric? You're both using the lighting. I mean,
you know what?
not get any
Hey, if you love someone and as much as I love her, nothing's an issue in that respect. We just handle our own stuff, and some stuff I pay for, some stuff she pays for.
Prenup, though, you got to sign, right?
With what?
You got to, when you get married to Sandra Bullock, the both of you got to work that out ahead of time. There's no way, especially you've been married 2 times before. You got to sit down and have that tough discussion. That can't be easy. Believe me, I know.
It was, everything about it was totally easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lawyer came with a big phone
and I think
book worth of
it's
papers.
it's a test, to people that kind of have perceived success in their field. We both are strong, and we don't. I think when it's lopsided, when you're marrying someone that's like a remora,
right?
And then you're gonna be sweating all the details. But her and I we're.
And you got a motorcycle shop, right?
Yeah, a little one.
A little one. No, you like a leading guy in this whole thing, right? I mean, you're the guy, right?
The leading guy.
You're the
Come
leading
on.
guy.
Yeah.
You build a motorcycle.
I build the best bikes in the world, hands down.
Big business. How many people you got working for you?
Probably about 40 or 50.
No kidding. That's
Yeah.
nice.
How many people you got working here? Jesus, what's the payroll here?
About 150 people. I'm not kidding.
Just
you.
for
Payroll's $40.
And we don't make a thing.
Yeah, nobody gets paid.
Yeah.
You know what an honor it is to work here?
Nice. Interns.
I mean, listen, this is fantastic. Now, you've got Jesse James. Now, by the way, why the name Jesse James? That's not your real name.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. James is your last name. You legally changed your name. What were you born as?
Mohammed.
No, come on. What was your
My
your
name's
name?
Jesse
Greg?
James, man.
Your
That
name
was your
My middle
birth
name's
name.
Greg.
Oh, okay. So it is.
There's 7 Jessies in the family, and we all go by our middle names, so it's not confusing.
It is Jesse Gregory James.
Yeah,
You're
and
absolutely
so-
right. You do know your own name.
Yeah, my immediate family calls me Greg just to save confusion, and
Yeah, are you still talking to your mom and dad now that you're famous and well married?
No, I had them killed.
Well, I mean, seriously, Jesse,
No.
you don't talk to them, right?
I don't talk. My dad and I don't have any kind of relationship, but my mom is great. And
Why is your mom great? If she let you leave the house at 15 and kind of booted you out the door, why is she great?
because in the last couple of years, she's came around and started being a great grandma.
Yeah, I guess, but nevertheless, I mean, now it's easy to
Well,
love you.
I
You're
was hesitant.
successful.
I was hesitant at first, because so much stuff we've been through, and the whole tornado of the relationship with Janine, killed a lot of stuff with my family, and
Right.
but I think you have to, if long as your parents are willing to make the effort and.
But why
open
did your family abandon you when you were going through all your hard times with Janine? I mean, why would they turn on you? Why wouldn't they support you? I don't get it.
Well, that didn't start with Janine. That started when I was like 5. And I was done with my family when I was 15. I bolted and went on my own. And
Did you
gave
go
them
into therapy years later? Because I mean, when your family Is it
therapy?
I'm being serious.
I went to
You don't
court-ordered therapy one time when I was like 14 after I got out of jail.
Yeah.
And I threw a chair through the window.
You had some anger, huh?
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever went. So.
But why would therapy make you angry? In other words, you've got to be pissed off at your parents for doing this to you. I mean, that's a tough thing when you're 15.
I spent a lot of years being pissed and angry.
Right.
And I think a lot of the stuff I did, like stealing cars and getting in trouble, was kind of lashing out.
Right.
But now I kind of understand it, and I think, you see, someone with some fame and stuff, you think, it's like a Lindsay Lohan situation and her folks or whatever. But, it's, my parents were like, speaking like my dad and my sister, they were gone like long before that. They had tried to steal from me like when I was like 19, so.
The old man, has he tried to get in touch with you recently since, you're married to Sandra Bullock, you got a successful television show, the whole thing?
I don't know. I've never heard from him.
Never?
So, no.
Do you know if he's
Well,
alive?
you got to respect him for that.
Do you know? Yeah, I do respect him for that. Do you know if he's alive?
Yeah, he's alive, I'm pretty sure.
How do you know that?
Because I haven't been sent a funeral bill yet.
Right. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Now, Jesse James is going to be on Jesse James is a Dead Man. Now, what does that mean, Jesse James is a dead man?
Well, we started, Monster Garage ended like in 2005.
Right. Fred, you must be a big Monster Garage guy, right?
I'm a big fan of Jesse's, too. I thought he was like, and I think I wish he had punched that guy on The Apprentice, who was asking those, who's that guy? That Piers Morgan?
Piers, yeah, the teabag dude.
I don't watch that show. What happened with Piers Morgan?
They were just kind of being dicks and like him and Donald Trump were like trying to press me to bring Sandy onto that show.
You're not going to do that.
Yeah, it was
and you know something? The lamest excuse that Donald could give to fire him is because he wouldn't bring, Sandra on the show. And I'm like, that's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I mean, you were on the show. It doesn't mean Sandra Bullock's going to be on the show, right? I mean, it doesn't mean you come in a package. I didn't yell at you for not bringing her today, right?
No.
No, you that's absurd. You were kicked off The Apprentice because you didn't bring Sandra Bullock on?
Well, I remember what Donald said. He said, well, you didn't bring her on for the big charity thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't see you bringing her on in the next couple of weeks, so you're fired.
Yeah, they kind of made themselves look like assholes.
Yeah.
But that's not hard for them.
So, Fred, you're a big fan of those bikes?
I'm a big fan of chopper building as an art form. I think he's one of the leaders in that field.
What bike do you ride? Let's see if Jesse has any respect for you.
He's not going to know. It doesn't care because I'm not a chopper rider. I ride a Triumph.
Nice.
I'm not a hog guy.
I'm too big for Triumphs. I look like an oaf on it.
So what the idea of a personalized chopper is? In other words, you build it's a one of a kind.
It's like if you went and had a tailor-made suit,
right,
to fit you. We kind of tailor-make bikes for customers. They'll come. Like we built one for Shaq. And he's 7'3".
Well, he would need one.
Is a guy like me a pussy because I don't ride a motorcycle? I'm afraid I'd hurt my leg or something like that, or roll off and get killed. You know what I mean? I actually have fear.
Well, you know what? I've built a lot of bikes for guys like you.
Yeah.
Jesse, did they make them with training wheels?
Yeah, you build a
I'll admit it. I'm afraid. Let me ask you about motorcycle
But
riding.
I've seen guys like you that have come in the shop, and I'm like, oh man, who's this motherfucker coming in here? Like they got like a shiny Rolex and driving a BMW, and then I'll build them a bike.
Yeah.
I'll build them a bike, and it's kind of like it makes their personality come out of like who they really want to be, and like all of a sudden they got they're growing a little beard. And like,
in other words, you would say I'd be less feminine if I had a bike.
I think I could see you riding a bike.
You could.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my fear of riding a bike. I know a lot of guys who ride bikes, and they always have a story of an accident, and the ones that survive either have brain damage or I have one friend who is a big bike rider. He has pins in his legs, and this guy's a real,
I got pins in my legs.
No kidding, from falling off a bike.
Bikes, race cars, stuff like that.
Do you do hardcore stunts, right? What is this? Jesse's stunts on the show include riding a nitromethane-fueled motorcycle at 200 miles an hour.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What, are you like Johnny Knoxville? Do you have the death wish as well?
No, I think this stuff that we're doing on the show is more challenges and stuff that's mentally and physically demanding. I think Jackass is great. I love that show, and I love Nitro Circus.
Right.
But it's more buffoonery of like hurling yourself off to something and stuff that's over in a split second. I want stuff that's going to be like okay, I have to train for months to get ready to do this, you know. And
a nitromethane-fueled motorcycle at 200 miles an hour, riding a motorcycle in minus 60-degree temperatures in the Arctic and leading the police on a high-speed chase. Are you insane? I mean, seriously, do you think you're crazy?
No, man, I'm lucky.
But doesn't even sound like fun, riding in the Arctic.
If I'm living the life you're living, you know, you're successful, you've worked out all your issues with your parents, you're married to Sandra Bullock, one of the most successful actresses in Hollywood, and beautiful. You got great kids. I mean, what are you doing? What, you're going to risk your life doing this stuff?
Hey, man, life's only a one-lap race.
Is that true?
We only get one lap.
And
so you could either just sit here and talk about stuff all the time, or you could build a bike and put your chick on it and go ride. And I think it's
Am I a mama's boy because I don't do this?
You know what? I think it's great that you're scared of it, because that means you'll love it that much more when you actually do it.
Well, I think I'll love it more when you do it.
When you get over your fear and you jump on a bike and you take your chick up to, like, you know, New Hampshire or wherever. I mean, you live in the best riding place in the planet.
Right.
And put your chick on it, and you get it, and you kind of squint your eyes, and you could feel the sun on your skin, and like.
There's no better feeling to you.
Ed, you would love it. I can tell your personality because I've built bikes for guys like you.
Guys like me?
All of a sudden,
yeah.
Like. He'd come in and he'd kick over the trash can. And like, yeah,
I would come to life.
Look, motherfuckers, we need to get some shit straight around here.
I watching American Idol?
Yeah.
I like American Idol.
You watch it too, right?
I've watched every episode.
Do you vote?
Did you vote? I voted last night. If you don't vote, then you can't complain about who your idol is.
I sent 5701 to vote last night.
Did you?
Me too. 5701. I can prove it to you.
I got it. You could go get my pager from the green
room. Want to see mine? I'll prove it to you.
Yeah.
How many times did you vote last night?
Just once.
I voted 3 times.
We're kicking you out of the club.
Yeah. You know, I hear what you're saying. I could see me riding on the back of your bike with my arms wrapped around you. You know what I mean? And my hair blowing in the wind.
All snuggled up.
I can see it. It might be kind of romantic.
With his little thong hanging out of the back of his
He'll
pants.
have the girl helmet on.
Dave, you're on the air. You're on with Jesse James. The big show is Jesse James is a dead man. Evidently, he's going to do things on there that only real men like myself can dream of. You're a Superman.
Do you ever think you would get off the couch and ride a motorcycle?
No, I'm too afraid. I'm too much
we'll hook up. I'll make him do it. Yeah, we'll leave him stranded somewhere, and the only way he's going to get back is to get on a bike and ride home.
Maybe if you throw that wife of yours on the back of my bike, I might take a spin. I don't know. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're on with Jesse James.
Hey, Howard. How are you doing?
All right.
Good. Hey, Jesse. How are you?
What's up, man?
Hey, man. I big fan of yours and been riding bikes since I was 4 years old, and I got to agree with you to Howard there. He's got to get on a bike and experience it, because it's.
You know what's funny about this? There's a lot of guys out there riding bikes and living the wild life. Fred.
I love it.
And where am I in all this?
You got to just do it.
Missing it, Howard. Missing it.
You think you know what? I think I'm too much of a mama's boy. My mother had tremendous fear. You are not riding.
My parents told me that if I ever got a bike, I'd be kicked out of the house. Well, fuck it. I moved out and then got a bike.
You're a rebel. You're your own man.
Yeah.
But do you ever think of confronting your fears?
Absolutely not. You want to know something, though? Yes, I do.
I'm going to be honest. One time he picked a hangnail, and it went all the way.
You want to know
it
something,
went past
Jesse?
the nail bed.
Jesse, in a way, you're right. In a way, you're right. I'm going to be honest with you right now.
He's going to go to bed without brushing his teeth.
I am so full of fear. Jesse, I am so full of fear that, do you know, when I first started to run, I run. That's my exercise. And when I start to run, I would hear my mother's voice in my head saying, you can't run in the rain. You'll get cold, you'll get sick, and you'll die.
This guy's laughing.
And Jesse, as you took up motorcycles and riding at 200 miles an hour, what I did was I ran in the rain. And Jesse, I consider this
crazy style.
Yeah. And you think I'm joking?
Were you wearing dolphin shorts?
I considered myself a rebel at that point. Now, mind you, I was 40 years old. And I thought, wow, look at me. I'm running in the rain. I don't care.
F you, Ma.
If I get an F you.
How serious?
Hey, Jesse.
How serious are you about it?
You want to know something, Jesse?
When you come to a stoplight, do you keep running in place?
I do. You know what, Jesse? I'll tell you what. Here's my analogy to you. I kind of feel that, in a way, my radio show and what I did with my life was my, if you will, fuck you to my parents. that to my mother, who always said, "You can't do this, you can't do that. You will be you are going to be sensitive to women." I was raised in a house of women where I had to be sensitive, and in a way, I went on the radio and I became this maniac, an insane person. So maybe you doing the motorcycle thing was me doing the radio show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I can still see your personality. You know, and I think it is about confronting your fears. You know, you learn once you push yourself through a level of fear. You know, and I learned this on doing the new TV show. Once you push yourself, if I do something and I go, oh shit, this is gonna hurt. You know, and I know that I'm scared and I can't sleep the night before, and I know it's gonna be gnarly. Really? Then I know that's going to be good TV, and I know I'm going to, like, when you get to the other side and you pull it off and you land it and you still got all your arms and legs, it's like the raddest feeling you could ever imagine.
I think that's how I feel about radio. When I would go on, and it was so conservative, and I'd go on and do these things that people said you can't do, I think I got that same kind of rush.
Yeah, but you've already done it all. What are you going to do now?
I play chess.
What do you do?
I run in the rain.
I'll make you a deal. I'll build you a bike for free if you ride it.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think
not
I could.
Not some.
Jesse,
thing
I don't think I could do it.
Not even like down like a straight little.
I'll ride with you. You and I can take a road trip. And
I can hold on to you.
Yeah. I'll build you one of my little $100,000 specials if you ride it.
You want to know something, Jesse? That's a very generous offer, and I thank you for that. But I think I'm going to stay on the road.
No, you think about it.
Let me think about it. Let me mull it over. But I wouldn't accept that.
Go buy some motorcycle magazines and see if you like it.
You feel it would open me up?
I'm telling you, dude. I'm 100% right about this every time.
Maybe you're right.
I look at some people, and they come into the shop, and I can tell that guy's never going to ride that bike, and that bike's never going to fit him. And then I see some guys that come in, and they're a little hesitant.
I don't have the desire.
They're scared.
I don't have the desire.
They're scared like you.
I don't need it.
Is there anything
you don't know?
want?
You don't know you need it, but you do.
You think I need it?
I think I'm 100%.
What is a fear you've confronted? But wait a second. Have you, like, maybe you have a fear of public speaking or something? Maybe you're afraid. I mean, what is your fear? Your real fear. Okay, so you can get on a bike and ride.
My biggest fear in the world.
Seeing your father.
No, is making sure my 3 kids grow up strong and healthy.
But no, come on. That's not your biggest fear.
It is. I got a 14-year-old daughter, man. She's 5'10" and blonde hair and green eyes, and like.
Well, you got
how old is she?
14.
Oh my.
So,
my biggest fear is walking outside naked.
I get scared of a lot of stuff.
You should do it.
I'm afraid someone's going to see my penis.
You should show it.
Would you ever show your penis to the public? Aren't you afraid of that? Are you well hung?
No.
You're not. See?
No.
There's something you won't confront.
No.
Let's go to Dan. Let some people say hi to you. But I tell you what, I would be really nervous. You think I could ride in a sidecar, maybe?
I have a sidecar.
You do have
bike.
one?
Yeah.
I might be able to handle that. Dan, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, first time, long time, big fan, love you all. Hey, Jesse, about 6 or 7 years ago, you were at a car show in a town called Paso Robles, California. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was there in a bar across the street on the balcony, and you were at a place called Boosie's. There was a massive crowd of people, and all of a sudden, every single cop, I've never seen so many cops, had to be 30 to 50, just swarmed over there. And the rumor is, tell me if it's right or not, is that some guy was talking shit to you and basically called you a sellout, and you decked the guy. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
You didn't have a bar fight?
No, some guy did start a bunch of stuff with me, but I was with my son. Him and I drove my little 29 Ford up there together, and we had just got there, and the guy like kind of was belligerent and got in my face, and like,
why? He's jealous.
Yeah, the rumor mill had you beating the shit out of this guy. And as soon as I heard you're on, I was like, I got to find out the truth.
Are you good in hand-to-hand combat?
I've never lost a fight.
You've never lost a fight in your life?
I've taken my licks, but I've never been beat yet.
You've been in bar fights?
Yes.
And with some tough motherfuckers, I imagine.
I got hit in the side of the head with a Newcastle bottle one time.
No kidding.
In Flint, Michigan.
And you still beat the shit out of the guy?
Yeah.
Look at you. Where'd you learn how to fight like that? In the street, or did you do martial arts?
I took Take One's dough.
You just know how to fight from growing up, right?
No, I took a little bit of martial. I don't want to talk about that stuff.
You did a little bit of martial arts?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm a brown belt in Shotokan?
You can go to any martial arts store and buy any color belt you want. They're like $19.
Hey, I might have to fight you.
You could be a triple black belt.
You've never lost a fight?
No.
You think you could do ultimate fighting?
You know what? I'm not much of a grappler. You know, the kind of fighting that I did, that if you go down to the ground, you cut your percentage of winning by 50%.
So what would you do? Just punch a guy?
I think, you know, keep your space and keep your distance, you know.
How do you take him out?
Well, you know, the best way I've found is break their clavicle.
No kidding.
You know, if you break collarbone's super easy to break.
How do you break the collarbone?
You can slap it. It only takes like 4 pounds of pressure to break it.
No kidding. So you're telling me if I'm in a fight and I smack a guy in the clavicle.
Have you ever broken your collarbone?
I haven't.
Well, if you break your collarbone, you can't lift your hands up.
No kidding. So if you go for the rather than even go for the face,
just nail it, and like that fight's over.
Like Benji, come here. I'm going to demonstrate on you. I'm going to smack
come
you
here,
in the
Benji. Let me break your collarbone.
Let me just break your collarbone. Big deal. Like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you know that, Robin?
I did not know that. I know you can't. I didn't know it was so easy to break.
All those karate
I know you can't
lessons.
lift your arms.
I wasted my time with.
But why can't he talk about it? It's like he went to some secret society or something. He doesn't like to talk about it.
Are you afraid if you brag about it, then guys will want to challenge you and all that kind of crap?
Yeah, and people are already, you know, I'm the guy that everybody wants to fight.
You're a target already.
Yeah. Oh, you seem like a nice guy. I don't get that. I don't get that.
I don't know. It's because I'm so pretty.
That's the problem with you. Let's go to Mark. You ever have to fight more than one guy at a time?
Yeah.
No
it's
kidding.
usually always like that. It's never just me and one other guy. I mean, I haven't been in a real fight in a long time. But
Right. The last fight you had was more than one guy?
No, it was one guy.
Wow. Boy, I never get into fights because I run. Mark, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Howard. Thanks for taking my call, man. Big fan of yours, and Jesse, I'm a huge fan of yours.
What's up, man?
If you are going to turn down, or Howard, if you are going to turn down that bike, man, I swear to God, I'm going to drive to New York and I'm going to slap you. Jesse James, he's Elvis in the bike building.
I understand. First of all, let me explain something about myself,
fat
Mark.
and on drugs.
I would never take a free bike from Jesse, even if I was the biggest bike enthusiast in the world. That's number one. If I was going to get a bike from Jesse and ask him to make a bike, I'd pay for it. That's number one. That's my code.
That's a safeguard.
That's how we roll.
Yeah.
No, that's the truth.
So
I would not feel comfortable.
So basically now he's legally trying to get out of
No,
because
I
I'm
would
serious. I'm not allowed
Jesse,
to accept any gifts.
No,
on the air.
no, I could accept a gift.
I really wanted to go ride this weekend.
Jesse,
but
Jesse, look at me. I wouldn't do that to anybody. I wouldn't take a free, like, okay. If somebody
hey, I'll
wanted-
build you a bike and make you like it just to prove a point.
Well, that's different.
God, Howard, what are you doing?
Mark, stop it. I'm not a bike guy.
You really wouldn't, just the idea, just to check it out, to see if your personality wouldn't change.
Let me tell you,
if you wouldn't get something
listen,
out of it.
If NASA called me now and said, we're going to build you a rocket ship so you can go to the moon.
Can you imagine
I wouldn't do it.
Can you imagine a badass West Coast shopper like rolling up to somewhere and the guy gets off and he's like got a scowl on his face and like, man, who's that dude? That's Howard Stern. What?
What is the most expensive bike you've ever built?
I just built one that was about $300,000.
Why is it $300,000?
Yeah, it was probably a couple thousand hours of labor in it.
Because it's so specific. It's so like you had to make it the way the guy wanted it and put in all the.
It was just it was a bike with a sidecar and it was all polished aluminum, handmade, not a ripple in the whole body, and just riveted together. And
Jay Leno build that car? I mean, that bike, is he one of your customers?
He doesn't like my type of bikes. My stuff's kind of fast and outlaw. And
oh, I see.
He likes more of that.
He likes a nice, safe.
Chitty bang bang.
Right.
Stuff, you know?
Not a real man. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I was looking online. How much was the Shaquille O'Neal bike? He built a bike for Shaquille that Shaquille fits on. So it's like 10 times the size of a normal bike.
I built the bike for Shaq, and I only charged him $50,000. Because he gave me some Lakers season tickets.
Oh, nice!
And then he went to like the Century Club the night he got it and told everybody he paid $150.
But you know what's funny
He's a
about
big
that?
timer.
Now, here's a guy. Why didn't you say to Shaq? You have to be in prime condition to be a basketball player. God forbid he falls off that motorcycle.
Well, he's got a contract with the bike I built him is his favorite bike. It's the only bike that fits him.
Right.
And Phoenix has a contract with him where he's not allowed to ride it. Not allowed to ride any motorcycle since what's his name up the Roethlisberger or
Roethlisberger.
Since he biffed on his Hayabusa, now they.
Of course. Does your wife worry about you doing this stuff? Does she say, "Don't do it. I love you"?
I didn't ask her for permission.
Wow, you're a real man. I have to ask Beth permission for everything.
Well, anybody that's ever came into West Coast Choppers, any dude,
yeah,
and said really serious, wants a bike and everything, said, I'm going to go talk to my wife about it.
Right.
They've never came back.
You and Sandra aren't going to do that Hollywood thing where you adopt one of these Malawi kids from Malawi, the country that Madonna goes to.
A little
kid. You know,